It's not hard at all to understand why it means so much to so many people.
2.5 miles to victory.
When I was a kid, it was all about the Daytona 500, the most awesome event that you want to be a part of and win.
You don't get any other feeling going in than you do at Daytona.
It's a tremendous thrill. It does as much for a driver's career as anything at the real.
NBC Sports is proud to welcome you to the Daytona 500, live from the Daytona International Speedway in Florida. It started in 1959, and today it has truly become the great American race. Earlier in Speed Weeks, the Daytona 500 qualifying races were run on Valentine's Day. That's a day where normally you expect to see guys trying to make a pass. Well, it didn't happen here, at least on the track. Today could be Veterans Day, because what we've seen here this week is experience winning out over enthusiasm. Dale Jarrett is a three-time winner of the Daytona 500, including 2 years ago when this race was held under very similar aerodynamic rules. Rusty Wallace has never won the Daytona 500. Today he makes his 20th start. Dale Earnhardt won the 500 in his 20th start. A year ago, Rusty was third. Today he hopes car number 2 can be number 1. Let's go to Dave Burns.
Bill, it's been 22 years since a woman has raced in the Daytona 500. Today, Shawna Robinson makes her first attempt. How thrilled are you to start this race?
Absolutely. I deserve it. I deserve to be here. We've worked really hard. This race team have worked hard. You know, we're unsponsored, so we just want to have a long, safe race. We've got 500 miles to do it.
And I think they will make a good impression. They've got a very fast Dodge Intrepid in the field here this afternoon at the Daytona International Speedway. Matt Yoakum.
Dave, back in the year 2000, Johnny Benson was 3 laps shy of picking up the Daytona 500 victory. Then last July, he came up just short again. He's been up and down during Speed Weeks, but many feel like this could be his best shot at a 500 win. And for Kenny Schrader, 18 years it will be for you chasing that elusive Daytona 500 victory and ending a big winless streak of your own. And plus, you got a little special memento on your uniform there. A big and very special day it could be for you.
Oh, yeah, it'd be a big day for anybody who wins this thing. You know, this has been a real good race for us. We've run second, third, fourth, fifth in it. I mean, I don't think we run fifth. We've run every other position in the top 10. And it's been a good race for us. M&M's car's been good all weekend, or all week, so we'll just see what we got.
He's trying to break a winless drought of 339 races since his last victory. To Marty Snyder.
Well, Matt, continuing the theme with the veterans, the Iceman, Terry Labonte, could melt a lot of Daytona dreams today by pulling off what many would consider an upset victory. Second in this race 3 times, Texas Terry could be a guy to watch. I do not think it would be an upset if younger brother Bobby won the race, however, today. Everybody's been talking about your teammate Tony Stewart. How about your race car?
Our race car is really good. I mean, we're really happy with it. Interstate Battery Pontiac's been driving good all week and led a little bit here and there, so feel really good about it.
Joe Gibbs Racing won the Daytona 500 in their sophomore season 9 years ago. That's a long time, Bill, to make Coach Gibbs wait for a Super Bowl trophy.
Very good point, Marty. 43 starters, 42 men, 1 woman. Only one dream comes true today. Now, let's take you trackside and get fired up as the pre-race ceremonies continue here at Daytona.
Ladies and gentlemen, would you please rise for the presentation of colors by the City of Daytona Beach Police Department, and please remain standing for the invocation by the Reverend Hal Marchman.
Almighty God, we thank you for this beautiful place with all this wonderful crowd. And we thank you for the people who make this possible, and we pray for the drivers and for all who are involved this day. Shalom and amen.
And now, to honor America with our national anthem, RCA recording artist, and Metropolitan Opera star, Denise Graves. Denise Graves, ladies and gentlemen. And how about a hand for the majestic Eagles, Phoenix and Sequoia from SeaWorld Orlando. And for those 4 F-16 Vipers who were flown today by the 78th and 55th Fighter Squadrons out of Shaw Air Force Base, South Carolina, with flight lead Major Jack Dennison. And now for the most famous words in motorsports, the Grand Marshal of the 44th Daytona 500, Chad Holliday.
Representing the employees of DuPont, drivers, start your engines!
It's a beautiful day in Daytona. Sunny, temperature near 70, and the start of the Daytona 500 is coming up. One, two, three, four, 5.
Hey, baby, you're great.
Jay Leno, this is Bill Weber at NBC Sports. You have a copy?
Hey, Bill, how you doing?
Excellent, sir. How are you?
Good, good.
Look forward to speaking with you. We're in commercial right now, but I'll be throwing it to you, sir, when we come back.
What'd you say? Go down here and swing around and we'll back up.
Jay, we're in a commercial right now. When we come back, I will throw it to you, and then you'll be throwing it to Alan in the booth.
Okay.
Have a great day. Have a great ride out there.
Thanks. What do you do, about 55 all the way around? Yes, sir.
Alan?
Wally? Benny?
Yahoo! Hey, Mikey. I heard you through Lynn's ears. Wow.
Was he angry? I got a little bit. When I get to 55, I'll let you know.
Okay, Thumper.
NBC Sports welcomes you back to the Daytona 500, where 43 drivers are getting ready to race. Right now, sitting on pit road. Pretty soon, they'll be following the Pontiac pace car, the official pace car of the Daytona 500. It's the special Firebird Collector's Edition, and there is somebody special at the wheel. The host of The Tonight Show here on NBC, Jay Leno. Jay, I know you love your cars. How's that seat?
Hey, 44 driver, not 43. Come on.
You're going to get out of the way, though, aren't you?
I'm going to be the only pace car driver ever to be black flag.
You're going to be watching the mirror?
Yeah, I'm going to be watching the mirror.
Well, enjoy it out there. I know you're looking forward to it.
All right, I guess I'll throw it back to Alan in the booth,
That's right.
There you go, Alan.
All right, Jay, we're charged up, too. Hey, just use your turn signal when you hang that left onto pit road. Those guys behind you will be in kind of a hurry. With a 75 Daytona 500 winner, Benny Parsons, and Wally Dallenbach, a 9-time veteran of this race. You know, we've been here for 10 days of preliminaries and pressure, BP moments before the start. What are the drivers' mindsets right now?
You know, they call this the Super Bowl of stock car racing, and rightfully so, I might add. And just like the football Super Bowl, these drivers have had 10 days of distractions, one right after the other. Media, radio, TV, but right now they're in their office. They're focused in on the job at hand to win the Daytona 500.
Wally, traffic is going to be its heaviest right here at the start.
Yeah, patience too. That's one thing that NASCAR will talk about in the driver's meeting. Patience and give and take. You'll see a lot of guys trying to be careful, getting in position. But towards this end of this race, it'll be all take.
That's absolutely. Everyone wants to win the sport's biggest prize. Their once-a-year shot at it comes up next. They've been coming in since just after sunrise this morning. Some 170,000 fans jamming this massive stadium, all waiting for the start of the Daytona 500, which you'll see next. In the final start of his long NASCAR Winston Cup career, Dave Marcus given a ceremonial lap at the head of the field behind the pace car now. Then he'll drop back to his starting spot for the Daytona 500 in 14th position. Budweiser, the official beer of NASCAR, is the proud sponsor of the Bud Pole Award given to the fastest qualifier at each Winston Cup race. Rookie Jimmy Johnson gets the first pole of 2002 in only his 4th Winston Cup start. Since 1979, Anheuser-Busch has awarded more than $7 million as the title sponsor of NASCAR's Pole Award program. And now the Walmart starting grid for the 44th Daytona 500. Johnson and Kevin Harvick sharing the front row. Harvick, last year's Rookie of the Year. Row number 2, the two winners of the qualifying races here Thursday. Jeff Gordon, the 2-time 500 winner, and last year's race champion Michael Waltrip.
On the inside of row 3, Dale Earnhardt Jr. won the 300-mile race yesterday afternoon, has won the last 2 plate races, and Tony Stewart won the shootout last Sunday, also the IROC race on Friday. On the inside of row 4, Kenny Schrader always runs well, as he said, and Jerry Nadeau, he was 6th here in July.
The first Ford in the field is Ricky Rudds in row number 5, making his 25th Daytona 500 start, and Bobby Labonte, the 2000 Series champion, with him. The 6th row is Terry Labonte, never won at Daytona in 46 races, and Robby Gordon won the last race of last season.
On the inside of row 7, Sterling Marlin won the 500 2 years in a row, 94 and 1995. And Dave Marcus, we saw him just a moment ago, his 33rd and final 500. Kurt Busch on the inside of row 8, alongside Petty driver John Andretti.
Two of the three Wallace brothers in the race share row number 9. It's Mike Wallace and Kenny Wallace. Kenny driving for Dale Earnhardt Incorporated. The 10th row, it's Ward Burton, led a quarter of last year's race, but wound up in a big wreck near the finish. And Mike Skinner in a 2-time Daytona 500 winning car.
On the inside of row 11 is Dale Jarrett. The UPS Ford has won this 500 3 times. Let's try to talk to him. Dale Jarrett, Benny Parsons, you got me?
Compared to other people after a couple pit stops.
Got you, Benny.
All right, DJ, you won this thing 3 times. Can you make it 4 today?
Well, we've got that opportunity thanks to NASCAR helping the Fords out this week to make us more competitive. Now we just have to do everything right. We have to have probably a perfect day, but that's what we're looking to have. Got to get myself in the right position for those last 50 miles. That's what really counts.
Where is the right position? In front?
Yeah, I'd like to be in front. I'm not sure how much a Ford can lead, though, so I might want to try to find myself in second or third when we get down to that point to where we can start kind of shaking things out there at the end and then try to put this UPS Ford right in the front at the very end.
Good luck to you, DJ.
Thank you.
Dale Jarrett starts row number 11. 3 drivers will have to go to the back of the pack because they are in backup cars. Their primary machines damaged in practice in the qualifying races too badly to start this race. They are Rusty Wallace, Dave Blaney, and Shawna Robinson. Looking at the rest of the field, Elliott Sadler in the Wood Brothers car making its 43rd start in the 500 in 44 races here. Maine's Ricky Craven starts last on the field. 10 drivers failed to qualify for the 500. Most notably among them, Hut Strickland, Jimmy Spencer, and Buckshot Jones. 3 fully sponsored teams who will compete for the championship this year. Heartbreak for them not being in the sport's biggest race.
And it's almost impossible to compete for the championship after missing the race. Kevin Harvick last year missed the Daytona 500, did not drive the car, finished 9th in final Winston Cup point standings, and I think that's about as good as it gets.
1 lap from the start of the Daytona 500 to pit road and Matt Yoakum.
Alan, while veteran Dave Marcus makes his 33rd and final Daytona 500, sophomore Kevin Harvick makes his first run here in the Great American Race. He told me this morning his biggest concern is actually getting other drivers to go with him with his lack of experience. He only has 3 other plate appearances last season. He has talked to Tony Stewart and to Michael Waltrip. They have worked out some sort of deals, but deals are only as good as they're written on, and nobody writes anything down. One good thing about Stewart, they're pitted right next to each other. To Marty Snyder.
Well, Matt, in Thursday's qualifying races, Roush Racing had 5 engines in that race, and they lost due to failure 3 of those engines. So Friday night, they rented an airplane hangar, rebuilt all of their race engines for today's race. There are some nervous people in the Roush camp today because they didn't get practice yesterday to test out those race engines. Today, Burns.
Marty, Dale Earnhardt was great here in Daytona, but one of his good friends has been the best driver in the last 10 races here, including the July races. That driver, Rusty Wallace. His average finish, 9.3. It's been very, very good, but Rusty's never won this race, and he's hoping today, in his 20th try, he can make it to victory lane. Alan?
All right, Dave, less than half a lap from the green flag in the Daytona 500. Perfect weather conditions.
Yes, it is. And we saw Elliott Sadler. This is Martin. Oh, man, these guys right now just thinking about what can we do. I need to get a good start because these first few laps are important. On fresh tires, you can do something. After 20, 30 laps, it's going to be harder and harder to pass.
You're right, BP. You'll see a lot of guys probably in the middle here for the first 10 or 15 laps. But then after that, get some tire wear on your tires. You do not want to be in the middle.
And Mike Wallace looks like his car is stalled in turn 3. It is.
Wallace was scheduled to start 17th, and the start has been waved off to clear his car from the track.
Marty, what's going on?
Well, they had problems cranking it at the beginning when they gave the command to start the engines, Benny, and he said it just shut off, and it won't turn over right now, and I believe they're going to go green without Mike Wallace.
Going to be 1 to the start-finish line, which means the green flag will be next time by. A tow truck has been dispatched to push Mike Wallace back to the pit area. How about that? 10 days of being here, 2 months of preparation. If something goes wrong before you even get the green flag.
How crushing is that?
He's trying to bump start it right there. You see, it looks like he may have the motor running.
And Jay Leno got an extra lap in front of the field. There's Andy Petrie, the team owner of that 33 car.
And you can see him holding his head and thinking, what in the world could be going wrong?
But I see that car running, BP, so he did get a bump started.
Question is, will it run? If they had trouble cranking it and it's quit on him already, well, he's going to stay on the track and try and join the end of the field for the start.
And that's probably a good place to start, because if he does have problems, he doesn't want to be where he was.
Marty?
Well, what they think has happened, Alan, is the main ignition has gone bad, and they're on the secondary ignition now. And I'm going to try to get a word with Andy Petrie as soon as he solves this issue. Let's see if we can get a word with Andy real quickly. Andy, any idea what it is?
It looks like an ignition switch or something. It could have hit it with his foot getting in or whatever, but it's broken the end of the switch off. And then what happened was it went to the secondary ignition and then got mixed up on the steering wheel switch, the cutoff switch, and couldn't get it to start. Finally got it going, but man, it's a real tough break right now.
They thought it might have been a short earlier, but it does appear to be the primary ignition switch has gone bad on Mike Wallace's car.
$1.50 part on a $100,000 race car. They're coming to the green this time. So Mike Wallace goes to the end of the field. Last year here at Daytona, driving for a different team, he started last in one of these races and came up with a top 10 finish.
On the steering wheel, we see Michael Waltrip weaving the steering wheel back and forth. Somewhere on that steering wheel is a switch these drivers can hit that will kill the ignition. Somehow, Mike Wallace, according to Andy Petrie, we see there's a radio. I think on the left side is a kill switch, and all they got to do is touch that, and it kills the engine. And somehow, Andy Petrie thinks that Mike Wallace touched that while trying to start the car.
It'll take 200 laps around the 2.5-mile Daytona Speedway to make up the 500-mile distance this afternoon. The winner gets $1.3 million at least from that $12 million pot. Jay Leno takes the pace car to pit road. 170,000 are on their feet. We are ready for the start of the 44th Daytona 500.
Looks like that outside line is the line right now that's going the best. Harvick, the pole sitter, Jimmy Johnson, back to 5th spot, going in turn 3.
Second car in line, the defending Daytona 500 winner, Michael Waltrip. Looking for a way to the lead, pushed by his teammate, Dale Earnhardt Jr.
And that's bad news for the rest of the competition if those guys can stay there all day, because that combination right there has won a lot of races on the restrictor plate racetrack the last year.
Pole sitter Jimmy Johnson getting pushed by his teammate Jeff Gordon on the inside lane. Michael Waltrip not able to make a move. Tony Stewart going to try and get a push from those Hendrick Chevys, see if he can make a run on those front four. Last season, we honored the memory of Dale Earnhardt and all of America's other lost heroes with a silent lap 3. We do that once again here today at the Daytona 500.
Tony Stewart off the pace, the winner of the Busch shootout. Finished second in the qualifying race, off the pace in turn 3.
And a lot of people's pick to win this Daytona 500. It's only lasted 2 laps for him.
And you can hear the motors off right there. There's no running of that engine. How about it, Matt?
Benny, Greg Zippadelli asked Tony on the radio, is it the motor? Is it the motor? He says, yep, it broke.
Wow. Tony Stewart, one of the dominant cars all week, is out. Here comes Michael Waltrip for the lead.
He gets an outside position on the 29 car of Harvick. Coming off turn 2. Who is Junior going with? My money's on Michael.
Yeah, that's a pretty good bet. Teammates at Dale Earnhardt Incorporated. They finished first and second in the last 2 straight Daytona Winston Cup races, each winning one and finishing second in the other.
Oh, Junior, when the 25 car pulled up behind Dale Earnhardt Jr., it got that Bud car very, very loose going in turn 3.
Yeah, that was awfully close. It could have been even a little bit of contact there.
That's Jerry Nadeau right behind him in the black car, the 25. Robby Gordon behind Nadeau. Inside lane, Ken Schrader in the yellow car moves up behind Kevin Harvick. Michael Waltrip so confident all week long. You heard him in our pre-race show. Felt like this might be his day for back-to-back 500 wins. Let's get more on Tony Stewart's situation, Matt.
Alan, I've caught up with Greg Zipadelli. Tony, give you any idea what might have happened inside the motor?
No, we probably broke a piston or something. He says it blew apart pretty good, and 18 car had one go the other day. Truck team had one go the other day. It doesn't seem like we're up on our game here with our motor program, but they've been working awful hard this winter, and we'll bounce back. It just, you know, we had a great race car. Home Depot Pontiac's been awesome all weekend. Tony's spirits have been up. This whole team has been excited about coming here and trying to win our first Daytona 500, but I guess we'll be back next year.
Rain washed out the final practice. Do you feel like this is something that probably would have cropped up in the final practice session?
Yeah, but I mean, everybody was in the same boat. 90%, 95% of us put our race motors in. It's something that we do week in, week out, and you know, it's a chance you take, but it just come off the dyno. I think ran good. They run a bunch of pulls on it, and just wasn't our day. I mean, somebody, I don't know, just one of those deals, man. I don't know.
The 20, looking at the championship this year, uses a mulligan early in that title chase, Alan.
That will hurt. He will finish last in the first race of the year. Michael Waltrip leads. Dale Earnhardt Jr. is second. Jerry Nadeau third. Robby Gordon fourth. And Kevin Harvick is fifth. Matt Kenseth, black and yellow, number 17 there. Really on the move in the opening laps. He started 40th. That time across the stripe, he's moved halfway through the field to 19th.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see how the Fords react, especially after they get some wear on their tires and things with the spoiler change. See Ricky Craven there in the 32 sneaking up the center, trying to get in the outside lane there. With the heat the way it is now, we could see those Fords getting a little bit loose towards the end of the run. We'll have to wait and see.
Craven started last in this race, and he's ahead of Kenseth. So he's having a great run in the early laps, too.
And this is the third year in a row that Tony Stewart gets his season off to a terrible, terrible start. Mark Martin watching Matt Kenseth in the 17 car drive by.
Mark started 39th. That time across the start-finish line, he's up to 20th. Dale Jarrett in the middle of that picture. Jeff Gordon fading back. Remember that Gordon started third on the inside of row 2.
And he's back to 15th the last time by. On board with Jeff Gordon as he follows Kurt Busch, the 97 car. Coming off turn 4, Kenny Wallace is in the 1 on the outside.
Jeff Burton in the 99 car, highlighted there with the bubble, started this race in 33rd spot. That time across the start-finish line, he was 15th. Another one of the early movers from the back of the field. And notice all of those drivers we've spotlighted as moving up quickly. They're driving Fords. Qualified poorly, started in the back, seem to be working their way toward the front.
Another guy that's moving up pretty good there is Mike Skinner in that Ford car.
Started 20th. He's up to 8th. Dave Blaney off the pace. Hartford, Ohio driver. First ride with this 77 team, changing rides over the offseason. And he's got problems at lap 9.
Last time by, he was in 28th position, but the way he's coasting off turn 4, it looks almost like an engine problem.
guys got to run any practice on their race engines because of the happy hour being canceled. So a lot of these guys are worried right now that they put these race engines in. The first lap on these motors are right now today.
On board with Robby Gordon. 31 car last time by was in the 9th position. And that's, we see the 24 car, Jeff Gordon, he and Jimmy Johnson, the pole sitter, put their race engines in on Tuesday and ran them a few laps just to verify they were okay. And after happy hours rained out on Saturday, that looks like a stroke of genius.
And if you're not familiar with the NASCAR term happy hour, that's the term for the final practice before the race.
And you remember we were talking to Tony Stewart yesterday during the Busch race, and I asked him, Tony, you got any laps on that race motor? He said, no, we don't, and we're a little bit worried about that. Hey, Dave, you got Tony down there?
We have caught up with Tony now, and Tony, he told us he had no laps on that race motor. Did that worry you going in?
It's never worried me. I mean, I've got the utmost confidence in our motor department at Joe Gibbs Racing, and you know, whatever happened was a freak deal. The part that makes me feel bad is there's so many of these guys that you see behind us that have worked all winter to get this car done, and their families and their wives and their kids have been letting their dads and their husbands go to work and work, you know, 10, 12-hour days to try to get this car where it was this week. And you know, I told them right before the race started, like, no matter what happens, guys, you guys gave us a very, very good race car here, and you know, it's a tough way to start the year, but I feel worse for the guys than anything because they've poured their hearts and souls into making this car what it is.
That's the word right there. Tough, very tough way for Tony to start. He was a favorite, guys.
And we use the Super Bowl analogy, and Tony Stewart's season started out just like a quarterback throwing an interception on the first series.
It's a little better than last year's exit of the race, I guess, where he ran in contention and then got taken out on a big wreck at the end of the day. I don't know.
Yeah, it's better not to rack out.
Yeah. Fourth, make it fifth place here. Mike Skinner in the gold car getting shuffled out. Sterling Marlin is up under him. 97 car is Kurt Busch. Las Vegas youngster moving into sixth. Jerry Nadeau to seventh. There's Ken Schrader racing Skinner for eighth. Schrader down low.
And look how quickly that these guys start falling back as soon as they get side by side. Schrader goes by now. Robby Gordon follows. Here comes John Andretti. Kenny Wallace. And look at Craven in the middle. Wally, that's not worked too well, but he gets by Todd Bodine in the 66th. Then Rusty Wallace is going to try the middle.
Oh, boy, he slid that right there in front of that Kmart car. Wow.
So Ricky Craven continues to move forward after starting last. He's up to 14th, and Jeff Gordon, he slides back. He started third. He's fallen back to 13th spot. The Daytona 500 is underway. Caution free so far, but Tony is already out of it. 44-acre Lake Lloyd shimmering in the Florida sunshine in the infield of the Daytona International Speedway as 41 drivers pursue victory in the Great American Race. NBC Sports with live coverage of the Daytona 500, 16 laps in. Let's check our lows, improvers, and snoozers, those moving up in the early going, including 3 Ford drivers.
Rusty Wallace, we said start 37th, actually started about 43rd, has moved up to 12th. Kenseth, great run going so far, and Ricky Craven.
And some of the snoozers, drivers slipping back.
Tony Stewart obviously lead that group with an engine problem. Jimmy Johnson, our pole sitter, back to 26th.
No change on the leaderboard. Michael Waltrip still out in front with Dale Earnhardt Jr. second, and let's go to pit road. Here's Dave Burns.
Alan, the driving, the racing is a little bit different here at Daytona this year, and a lot more guys are using rear view mirrors to do their driving. Now, these little things are about 2 or 3 inch convex mirrors that they mount to the window post just on driver's left. It helps them look behind them, but the drivers who don't use them, and there's at least a dozen who don't have them on their car today, call them blocking mirrors. They don't like them. Wally, Did you ever use a mirror like this and block someone?
Well, I've blocked someone for sure, but I've never used a mirror. And Dave, I think he's actually absolutely right. They put those mirrors on there to look to see when a guy is coming up and getting a run. When he sees a guy in that mirror coming up real fast, you throw the block. At a race like this, you look through the rear view mirror as much as you do the windshield. Wouldn't you agree, VP?
I agree wholeheartedly, and again, that's what they are, blocking mirrors, nothing else but.
Can't believe you didn't have one on your go-kart helmet the other night. You were blocking all over the place.
Didn't need to. I was out front.
Yeah.
Didn't need it.
About to complete 50 miles of this race as Michael Waltrip crosses the start-finish line with the race lead. Waltrip has led all but the first 3 circuits of the event. Kevin Harvick paced those. Look at the running order on top of the screen, and what we've seen now that we've put 50 miles in and we've put those laps on these sets of tires is the race is thinning out.
Yeah, it's gone Indian file, hasn't it, Alan? And as I said, I'm real interested to see what happens with the Fords right now, because without that little extra rear spoiler, yes, it makes their cars a little bit faster, but it takes a little bit of downforce away. Downforce, let me try to explain it real quick. It's like if I'm sitting on a bicycle and Benny's sitting next to a bicycle, Benny's bicycle is going to get into that racetrack a lot better than mine. It's got more downforce, and that's what we're talking about downforce.
I resemble that remark. Matt, what's going on with the 15 car?
Well, Benny, while Michael Waltrip continues to lead, one of the main reasons why he went to the front, his car was running a little warm. The water temperature was starting to climb, so he went to the front to get some clean air, not the turbulent warm air, to try to cool that water down a little bit. He says his car is just a tick loose, just like the twin 125 qualifiers on Thursday. Bill?
Matt, at the beginning of this race, Jeff Gordon and Jimmy Johnson both had good starting positions, but once they threw the green flag, they didn't have any friends. So when the field started moving forward, no one would help the 24 or the 48. They've fallen back in the pack. Gordon just radioed in, "I've lost the draft." He told his crew a few minutes ago, "The car is tight. I'll just have to ride for now." He's waiting for the pack to catch him from behind. As for the car he co-owns and our rookie pole sitter, Jimmy Johnson, he's getting tremendous encouragement over the radio, but his car is also tight. Chad Knaus just told him, "Do your best. We'll fix it when we pit."
Wow. Dale Jr.'s in trouble. Turn 2.
Right front tire looks like it may have come apart. Definitely came apart.
Caution is out. Another contender fallen by the wayside early.
And Tony Uri Sr., the crew chief, is telling his crew what to do.
And that is ripping that car apart.
It does so much damage if you have oil lines or brake lines or anything. That is just like a big old whip going through there, tearing everything apart.
Michael Waltrip.
Run over something. What?
Dale Earnhardt Jr.'s radio. Michael Waltrip has led the field back to the caution and they've slowed behind the pace car.
Mr. Tony. You got a little bit more than the fender.
Yeah, you got the hood, part of the door, part of the nose of the car.
Probably some of the firewall.
And what of the suspension underneath it? Here's what happened to Dale Earnhardt Jr.
Watch as we go down in turn 1. Junior's the second car, and all of a sudden, the right front just lets go, just goes flat.
And I'll tell you what, if it's going to go flat, that's the best place on this racetrack to go down. Normally, we see the right front tires go down right when you're in the center of the corner, and you hit the wall hard. He was real lucky there.
Another shot, you see the car wiggle, you see Harvick dive to the inside, and Junior wisely goes up high on the racetrack, getting out of everyone's way.
On board, Michael Waltrip. Oh, what was that?
There's debris on the racetrack, and that's probably what cut the right front tire on Earnhardt's car. Matt?
Benny, Michael Waltrip came on the radio and said, either something fell off my car or I ran over something, and that something is exactly what Dale Earnhardt Jr. ran over, so we probably need to pit just to check our tires as well. Marty.
Dale Jr. did think he ran over something, Matt. He said he thought he felt something, and that's what caused the right front to go down. This is such a heartbreak for these guys. He was having Race car, very reminiscent of his father, who had such bad luck in this race so many times. He came in as a favorite. It will end in disappointment.
Everybody's on pit road for stops. First ones of the day, Dave.
And Bobby Labonte is in. His car was just a tick loose. They're going to make a chassis adjustment to take care of that. 4 tires for the former Winston Cup champion here in the Daytona 500. Matt.
They are going to work on the left side of Michael Waltrip's car. No chassis adjustments. They just pulled a piece of tape off the left front of the car as the left side tires are on a little bit slow on that front.
29 car just ran into the side of Mike Skinner. Mike was coming into his pit. Kevin Harvick in the 29 was leaving his pit, and there was definitely contact there.
Bobby Labonte got boxed in trying to leave his pit stall when Shawna Robinson was trying to get to hers. And Michael Waltrip.
Every car that was on the racetrack running was in the lead lap. So they were in the lead lap. They could all make a pit stop. They all came down pit road at the same time. And let's face it, this pit road will not accommodate 40 cars at one time.
We'll try to get a look at the right front of Kevin Harvick's car to see how much damage there is. If there is some damage, that could hurt him, but we're not sure how much damage there is to the nose of that car.
So we'll reset the order as they came off of pit road in a moment. Some contenders finding early trouble in the Daytona 500. A lot of things happening in the early going of the 44th Daytona 500. NBC Sports in Daytona Beach, Florida, with the opening race of the 2002 NASCAR Winston Cup season. Here's what's happened to one of the contenders to win, Dale Earnhardt Jr.
You see the piece of debris shadowed? It goes under the car, hits the front, and you see the thing come out the side of the car about the same time as Junior's right front tire goes flat.
Here's Dale Earnhardt Jr.'s view.
You just see he's right along just like he's been doing, and there's no time to react. I don't even know if he actually saw the piece come out from under Michael's car.
But the question is, did it come from Michael's car or was it on the track?
Right there. And then the tire goes down, and boy, you know that right away. That steering wheel starts shaking in your hand, and he did the best thing he could. Just try to keep it straight, let these guys behind him get around.
That puff of smoke there you saw just before the piece of metal came out. So don't know, again, whether it came from Michael's car or whether it was on the track.
And right now, with the damage that he has to his car, with all this damage, Earnhardt Jr. will not win the Daytona 500, but they'll try to get the best finish they can. Marty?
Benny, here's what's left of that tire. The inner liner did not stay up. It's pretty badly damaged. Over here, Dale Earnhardt Jr., they're putting on a piece of a right front fender. They had a whole nose that they wanted to put on if they needed to. They just cut part of that off instead, and they're now going to replace the right front fender on Dale Jr.'s car. But indeed, their shot to win this race is pretty much over.
Kevin Harvick got some damage trying to leave pit road.
Yeah, I was watching Kevin's pit stop, and just as he was leaving the pit, Skinner, the 4 car, is trying to dive into his pit, and here's the contact, and did quite a bit of damage right there. You can see on the right front, right in front of the tire, aerodynamically, that hurts.
Ricky Rudd has been on pit road as well several times for repairs under this caution. Matt Kenseth is off pit road first. The green flag back in the air at Daytona. Matt Kenseth is the new leader of the Daytona 500. Ken Schrader came off pit road second. John Andretti third. Ryan Newman fourth. And Sterling Marlin fifth. Here's a charge for the lead by Schrader.
With the help from John Andretti in the 43 car, they team up and drive by Kenseth. And here comes the 40 car trying to go on the inside.
Robby Gordon in that orange and black 31 up in the mix.
Oh, he somehow got between the 12 car of Ryan Newman and the 7 of Casey Atwood. There wasn't room for that car.
Yeah, that was close, but the 25 was right on Robbie's tail and probably gave him a pretty good run so he could make that move.
Others in that group, the 7 of Casey Atwood, Bobby Labonte is up there, Dale Jarrett and Jeff Gordon are in the group also.
We're on board with Robby Gordon as he tries to close in on the back of Ryan Newman.
4 lead changes so far today. Some concern about people's ability to pass the leader under these rules. It was a problem a couple of years ago under a very similar aerodynamic package. We'll track that throughout the day. Ward Burton riding the rim in that cat car toward the back of the pack, trying to make some moves forward. How good to see Ken Schrader leading the Daytona 500. His 18th start in this race. He's run very well all week long.
I talked to Newman, his crew chief, quite a bit this week, and he was really excited about their chances. Kenny was happy with the car, the motor, everything. They're really pumped up.
And now it's Andretti on the outside with some help from Ryan Newman. Tries to take the lead. If the start-finish line had been on the backstretch, we might have credited Andretti with leading that lap, but it's...
Matt Kenseth getting shuffled back into the field. Ken Schrader, Fenton, Missouri, 42 years old. Check that, 46 years old. 1991 was the last time he won a NASCAR Winston Cup race.
And John Andretti was credited with leading that lap.
This time for sure, BP, with these new rules like they are, if you're in the middle, you don't want to be there. You just go to the back. It used to be guys would get in the middle and go all the way to the front of the pack.
Talking about Matt Kenseth there, the one in the middle in the black and gold car. He was the leader on the restart. John Andretti driving the Petty number 43. Of course, Richard winning the Daytona 500 7 times.
Meanwhile, there's Dale Jarrett in the middle, trying to help Matt Kenseth and help himself to march forward.
Ken Schrader led that lap, by the way, by a nose. Jarrett goes 3 wide down to the inside, changing lanes, diving underneath Kenseth. Jeff Gordon
on board with him the last time by. Jeff Gordon's back in 16th position. 17th, oops, 18th.
Inside lane didn't work for him there. I'll tell you what, Walt, talking about the middle lane not working. We just saw Jarrett move up center. Johnny Benson and Rusty Wallace gained a little ground there.
Well, don't forget, we're still pretty fresh on these tires, so I think we're going to be able to get away with that right now. But let's just see what happens about 15 laps on these tires.
There's Todd Bodine in the 66. How tense is it? The guy behind the wheel right now in this traffic. Is he really tensed up on the steering wheel?
It depends on who's on your tail. I mean, if you've got a guy that's run a lot of these races, you know he's not going to do anything silly. It's not that bad. But if you've got a guy on your tail that is making you loose, that's getting his nose right on your back bumper and getting the rear of your car sideways, you want to get somebody else behind you. It gets real tense.
And now here's Jeff Gordon in the middle as he tries to go forward. And while you kept talking about someone getting right on the back of your car and making your car loose, we just so happen we've got an illustration to show you exactly what we're talking about. Air loose, tell them.
And here's what you do. If I'm the car in the blue, I'm going to get my nose right behind this red car. It takes the air off his rear spoiler and underneath the bumper of the red car. What happens is that makes the rear tires light. That takes the downforce off the car, and it gets the car a little bit loose or a little bit sideways going into the corner. I'm in the blue car, I just turn the wheel and pass him. But I got to remember, he can do that to me next lap.
Jeff Gordon
still dropping back. Last time by was 20th and sounded like he was playing with that accelerator coming off turn 4. He talked about the crew, told the crew the car was tight, so he's probably picking up a little bit of push off 4 and using the throttle to keep it from pushing.
Push the turn when the car doesn't want to turn left when the driver wants it to.
You're turning that wheel as hard as you can, saying turn, but the car has a mind of its own. It still continues to go straight.
And on the restricted plate races like this, you don't want to get off the throttle. You'd rather just tap the brake, because if you get off the gas with these cars, they don't want to accelerate. So you'll see guys using their left foot and braking more than getting off the throttle if the car's handling.
Outside lane sliding back, Ken Schrader in the lead. Sterling Marlin second. Jerry Nadeau is third. Then the race from fourth on back. The Daytona 500 coming your way on NBC. 5-car lead draft in the Daytona 500. Ken Schrader, Sterling Marlin, Jerry Nadeau, Dale Jarrett, and John Andretti. But the real story is the 8-car. Dale Earnhardt Jr. Hey, we said his chance to win was over.
This is unbelievable. Junior has started at the back. He's now up to 13th, and watch him as he goes by Robby Gordon with a beat-up race car. Marty, what are they saying in the pits?
Well, Benny, there was no suspension damage in the wreck. They did put the front piece of the nose on. Junior has said nothing, but Tony Eury Sr. says he does not think the car is that bad. We've seen some strange things in the Daytona 500. I think this would perhaps be the strangest if he pulls this off somehow.
Running behind somebody with that body damage is one thing, but if he got out front, that would be a whole nother, wouldn't it? The pressure on it. And
I'm not going to say anything.
I'll tell you what, that's hard to believe. Yeah. Hopefully that tape's going to stay sticking, because they basically have that nose taped on there.
Earnhardt Jr. 10th right now behind Jeff Gordon.
And that time, as we listened to Jeff Gordon's car coming off turn 4, we did not hear that backing off the throttle.
Let's make our singular wireless call to the pits. Find out some updates on drivers after those last set of pit stops. Start with Bill Weber.
Okay, Alan, let's start at the front of the field with a very impressive Ken Schrader, who's not only strong on the track, but Newt Moore and company with a 14.95-second pit stop. Now, Schrader's out there on 4 new tires, no chassis adjustment. The car's not quite as good as it was before, but Moore just told him a few minutes ago, those are very fast lap times. Great run for Ken Schrader in the 44th Daytona 500. Jim Burns?
Bill Macketts started in 40th position and raced his way up through the pack. Then he came into the pits running 14th and changed just 2 right side tires to fix a tight condition and to make up some more time. He was the restart leader. He's now back in 8th, and his Ford is running pretty well. Maybe it's the 5 3/4-inch spoiler. Marty?
Well, Dave, how about the impressive run for young Ryan Newman? He started 23rd. He made his way up through the field, came into the pits 12th, out 4th. He's running in about the 6th position right now. He's in the middle of that 2-wide pack. The car was a little tight. They added 2 pounds of pressure to the right rear tire. That should loosen up the car just like he wants. He has a very fast car today. To Matt.
Marty, early misfortune for outside pole sitter Kevin Harvick. After contact on pit road with the 4-car of Mike Skinner, he had to make 3 more visits for Kevin Hamlin, his crew chief, and his Goodwrench crew to work on the damaged right front fender. We'll check in with Kevin and just see. Kevin, how is that fender now? Is the car as good as it was before?
Yeah, the car's still pretty fast. GM Goodwrench service cars been strong all week. We just got to pick and choose our holes. And that little collision leaving pit road was half my fault, I guess. I was trying to steer him out, didn't realize the 4-car was going to be cutting down that quick. But we got a long ways to go. We should be all right.
These cars are so aerodynamic sensitive. He restarted in the 36th position and slowly making his way back to the front.
But looking at the 29 car, they did a real nice job on repairing the right front of that fender. And look, it doesn't look like it's got any damage at all, so we'll have to see if this affects it or not.
Here's your buddy over there, BP.
Hey, hi there.
How you doing, guy? You know, this is a validation for all of us that fix cars using duct tape.
Exactly.
You know, I poked a hole in my crankcase in my 57 Buick once, and I pulled over the side of the road, and the tape is still on there. Now it's 2 years ago, and it's still holding oil. So I think he's going to go all the way.
Big thrill for you out there, that race car?
It's a real thrill, actually. It was very, very exciting. I was able to come down a month ago and do some laps, did about 100 laps, and got up to about 145, and that was real exciting. So this is, you know, just pacing at 55 or 60 is a little anticlimactic, but it was one of the biggest thrills in my life.
Something we were all talking about during the last commercial. It might be related to Dale Earnhardt Jr.'s issue on the track. We were noticing a lot of stuff, papers and things blowing around on the track.
I was amazed. There was a lot of paper, and I saw a couple of those plastic water bottles on the track, which amazed me. I kind of assumed they just went by and swept all that stuff up.
Johnny Benson trying to make a move on Mark Martin for 17th. Jay, hope you have a great day here.
Thanks, guys. We'll see you a little bit later. Thanks for having me out. Bye-bye.
Look forward to it. Jay Leno, host of NBC's here at the Daytona 500. Ken Schrader is the leader. We are just past 100 miles of the 44th Daytona 500. You're watching NASCAR on NBC. Dale Earnhardt Jr. not making the kind of progress he was before. That rapid ascension through the field has stopped, and now he's backing up.
Some of that may be because, like I said, he definitely doesn't have the downforce on that car like we talked about earlier as he did before the tire exploded. You can get away with that a little bit when you're on new tires, but as those tires get old, that car gets moving around a little bit. That's where it may hurt him a little bit when it comes to not having that downforce.
It was lap 21 if you're just joining us. A piece of debris either came off of or out from under Michael Waltrip's car when he was leading and Dale Jr. was running second. Jr. ran it over with the right front tire. Went to pit road to repair all that damage.
You see Dale Earnhardt Jr. very, very high. Let's go inside, see what kind of miles per hour he might be getting.
Go ahead, BP.
Had to back off the throttle over there as the car picked up that push. Down the front's ready, 186 as he closes in on the back of Matt Kenseth. 187, 188, 189 miles per hour with a beat-up race car.
But I think you're right. He's got to push there because you can hear him get off the gas and the car went right up to the wall.
And the red dot on the right side of your screen shows you where on the racetrack the driver is that we're tracking.
Come on, Matt Kenseth said. Come on, Junior, bump me, hit me, let's go, push me by.
And that 8 car will run in a straight line, won't it?
Not when he gets to the corner like that.
He had to back off the gas, get in the corner. The DJ's going to slide in that hole.
So Dale Earnhardt Jr. losing another spot. Well, actually, Dale Jarrett was inside of him, so he just slid up in front of him, and they hold positions. Check the Coca-Cola family of drivers and see where they're running in the Daytona 500, just after 100 miles. Scattered out midfield, most of them. Michael Waltrip was the leader in the early part of the race. Led 50 miles of this thing. Now he's back in 24th. Tony Stewart out of the race. Engine failure. He only finished a handful of laps.
And as Tony said, his teammate Bobby Labonte had exactly the same problem in testing. I think about 8 laps, something happened to his car, something engine. Dave Burns?
Bobby Labonte is having a rough day right now. Of course, remember earlier his teammate Tony Stewart had motor problems, and right now Mark Cronquist, the motor builder for Joe Gibbs Racing, is very nervous. Bobby radioed in just a little while ago that he had a slight vibration, and he backed off the pace even more, but that seems to have gone away. He got into trouble here on pit road because he got blocked in by Shawna Robinson, who had been blocked out of her pit by Matt Kenseth. So a long day for Bobby Labonte so far. Marty?
Well, Dave, let me show you the progress in Dale Earnhardt Jr.'s pit. They are rebuilding an entire front end and a right front fender here. What they're going to do next time they come down pit road is they're going to take 2 screw guns and attach this to the race car with pop rivets and screws. They have it on there with tape right now, like Wally pointed out, but that tape will not last very long. The entire team is here. They have rebuilt this piece. It goes pretty far back, almost to where the A-post would be on a race car, or where the front part of your front door would be on your passenger car. So this is a pretty big piece. They're going to try to put it on Junior's car. They say he's running in the top 20 without a front fender. Imagine what he can do if he has one.
Has been impressive, that's for sure.
Very, very impressive. My hat's off to Junior and that entire crew.
Dale Jr. running in 10th place right now. That's Ward Burton right behind him in the 11th spot. Up front, it's still Ken Schrader. There's the gap between 1st and 10th. Got a Pontiac, a Dodge, a Chevrolet, and a Ford in the top 4 spots. Maybe not for long. Ryan Newman and Rusty Wallace, the Penske teammates, tag teaming in their Fords on the outside, the blue and white cars.
Sterling Marlin and the 40 car moved up in front of those guys, so they decided to go with Sterling, try to get by the 25 car of Jerry Nadeau, and it looks like they may succeed. Oops, might have spoke too soon.
Jeff Gordon creeping back into the lead picture. So while they fight for second, Ken Schrader continues to hold the lead. Just past 125 miles of the 44th Daytona 500, you're watching NASCAR on NBC. Ken Schrader leads the Daytona 500 over Jerry Nadeau and Sterling Marlin, Ryan Newman, and Rusty Wallace. UPS delivers our laps led board today. Schrader has been out front more than anyone else. Matt Kenseth leading 4 laps, mostly under caution after the only yellow of the day so far. Bill Weber.
Well, Alan, Ken Schrader continues to lead the parade around the Daytona International Speedway, and one characteristic about Schrader, he loves to have fun in a race car, so normally he's very chatty. Not today. Good car, quiet driver, just a little tick tight coming off at turn 4.
I don't think there's much humor in Schrader right now because, Bill, he has a chance to win the Daytona 500. He is all business inside that 36 car.
You know, we've talked about new school and old school drivers. Ken Schrader knows a lot of people don't think he can get it done at age 46. He feels like he's still very capable of winning anytime he straps into the race car, and he would like nothing better than to prove that to the world by winning the sport's biggest race. It's a funny thing about guys like Schrader and Michael Waltrip who are jovial outside the race car. People don't think they take their racing seriously.
How much tape he's got on the front of that car, BP? There's a lot of tape on the nose of that 36 Pontiac right now, which is also helping the car handle because it's giving a little bit more downforce in the front, but not much opening.
That is a huge advantage if you can get away with it. The less tape you can run on the nose of the car, basically the faster it will go.
Speaking of old school, 45-year-old Rusty Wallace running in 5th place now in his 20th try in the Daytona 500. He says this year he'd like it to be his turn to win it.
It's been about time. You know, I think I'm deserving of it. I think the team's deserving of it. And I think, you know, Dale went almost 20 times before he got his. And I'd love to win the Daytona 500. I'm willing to, I feel like I've worked for it a whole life, and I feel like we're a worthy candidate of it.
And they are. There's no doubt about it. Rusty Wallace has been to Daytona. He's been on his roof in Daytona. He's been on his roof at Talladega. Dave Burns.
And Benny, they're very confident down here right now in the 2 pits. I just talked with Billy Wilburn, his crew chief, new crew chief this year, and he told me that they anticipated that the track would be a little bit loose today, so they've left him tight. In other words, he came into the pits last time, his car was tight. They didn't loosen him up too much. They kept him pretty much the same way he was, and the car is getting better and better. He is working with Ryan Newman, the rookie, to try to draft through the front and to stay in front, and it's working well so far.
Just past the 150-mile mark of the Daytona 500. Rusty Wallace chasing victory in the Great American Race. Kevin Harvick has come back from some early damage. He runs in the top 10 as well. Ken Schrader leads the 44th running of the Daytona 500, heading up a 7-car lead draft. Schrader, Jerry Nadeau, Sterling Marlin, Ryan Newman, Rusty Wallace, Kevin Harvick, and Bobby Labonte. Now rounding out that lead group. Wasn't it just a little while ago we heard Labonte was worried about his car? Dave, things seem to be a lot better now.
He's running a lot better. In fact, the vibration is gone. He's a little bit tight off of turn 2, but Jimmy Makar, his crew chief, said to him, maybe you just got in some dirty air, made it feel like your car was really out of sorts. They don't think it is. They think they might have not the same problem as their teammate, Tony Stewart, and he has gone back to the front.
You know, these guys keep talking about push or tight or whatever. Once again, we have an illustration to show you exactly what we're talking about. Let's go inside our race cars. We go down in the corner. The green line is the preferred line. Now go inside and see what the driver's going through. He turns that steering wheel, and look how much effort he's putting into turning it, but the car will not turn. You see as he comes off the corner, he drifts up the racetrack. That's a little bit exaggerated, but that's what we're talking about by tight.
I don't know if that's exaggerated or not here, BP. That looks about right.
So when he says tight, he's not just talking about what it's like when it's time to pick up the dinner check.
Exactly.
His wallet is closed tight.
BP,
BP buys dinner a lot. I got to give him credit on that.
He buys dinner for you?
Yeah, all the time. You know that, Alan?
BP, we got to talk.
Jeremy Mayfield in the 19 car driving for Ray Evernham this year. Right behind our pole sitter, Jimmy Johnson. They're back in the 27th position.
Matt Kenseth, 17 car, black and gold at the bottom of the track. He was the leader when we went back in the restart. And that was back at lap 27. He has fallen way into the field. 28th place right now.
See Jeff Green and Kyle Petty in the 45 car going by Jeff Green. What about the 48 car, Bill? What about a pole sitter?
Well, most of the kids here today, Benny, are out of school. This 26-year-old kid is going to school today. He's learning some lessons on the track. As far as the handling of the race car, still just a little tight. I talked to Chad Knaus. He said it was tight. Then they pitted, tried to loosen it up a little bit. It was tight and getting tighter. So now they're going to try and loosen up the 48 car when rookie Jimmy Johnson pits in about between 10 and 15 laps.
All right, Bill, thanks.
I'll tell you what, those pit stops are going to be important. You know, it looks like these pit boxes on pit lane are huge, but when you have 40 cars coming at the same time and you're dodging guys, changing tires and things like that, these pits are tight, and you've got to be so careful getting in or out, especially so you don't hit a tire or another car.
And we saw the caution flag, and all these guys made a pit stop. We'll see a bunch of cars pit on the green flag at the same time as well. Let's go down the pits and Matt Yoakum.
Well, Benny, just to add further on what Wally was commenting on about pit road, earlier in the race, the 97 car, Kurt Busch, slid right on through his pit in what was Tony Stewart's pit. The number 77 team, which had the first option to moved there. If Tony was still there, there might have been some bad news for the 20 team. Luckily, no car was there, but anything can happen down here.
And pit road is a dangerous place. Make no mistake about it.
And another thing is, getting these cars down to the slow speed you need for pit lane speed is very, very difficult. These cars are hard to slow down.
From 190 miles an hour, no less. Pit stops are coming up shortly, so let's take a break. We'll be back for the visits to the pit lane. Ken Schrader leads the Daytona 500. The 44th Daytona 500 being run on a glorious Florida afternoon before some 170,000 plus fans. Talked about pit road being a dangerous place. One of the safety innovations NASCAR has made since the end of last season, requiring everyone who goes over the wall on pit road to wear a helmet and a fire suit.
That is a great idea to see the Goodrich crew. And here's the reason why. This was at Homestead last year. Ward Burton starts to leave his pits. He makes contact with Casey Atwood and goes right through Ricky Rudd's pit, hitting 3 guys and injuring all 3 guys. Watch this. John Bryan, Bobby Burrell, but luckily all 3 of those guys are back at the racetrack pitting that 28 car this week with helmets on.
Good move. And they are getting ready for green flag pit stops. Everyone was last on pit road under caution at lap 23, about 55 laps on fuel. So we ought to see the leaders coming in the next 4 or 5 laps.
See the white car there, Shawna Robinson. The leaders have just gone by her and put her lap down along with Stacy Compton.
And in this traffic the leaders are going through, Bobby Labonte's taken advantage. He's just moved up to 4th around Ryan Newman and Rusty Wallace.
Well, not so fast.
He was at the start-finish line last time. How about that?
But he got hung up behind Stacy Compton in the 14 car.
He mentioned that Mike Wallace was on pit road a while ago. They changed the battery on the 33 car. He's back out, but he's 5 laps down to the leader. Mike Skinner running on 7 cylinders. In the 4 car, he's now 2 laps down in 40th spot. Bill Weber.
Look for Ken Schrader to pit next time. His car is a little loose when he's in front, and I talked to Newt Morris, crew chief. I said, the longer you go on those tires, you're going to get a little loose, aren't you? He goes, nope. When he was in traffic, he was tight. When he's out front, he's loose. Also out front, using a little fuel. Ken Schrader should pit next time. When he gets on here, he'll have a big advantage. He should have very little pit road traffic. Let's see who follows him.
And we see him waving to Jerry Nadeau, and that's a signal. I'm going to make a pit stop next time by. Now, will Nadeau follow?
And how do you adjust the car for that? If you're out front, you're loose, and if you're in traffic, it's tight. So what do?
Newt told him to stay out front.
Yeah.
And he comes in, and no one comes with him.
Wow. His teammate Johnny Benson will come in behind. Schrader has to slow down.
cars, guys. Good and smooth. Let's compete here.
Where that orange cone is on the upper left is where the pit road speed limit begins. They have to be at 55 by then. Dave?
Johnny Benson's car has been tight all day. It remains tight. They're going to make a chassis adjustment to try to fix that condition. 4 tires for Benson. Up to Bill.
Now this will be a 4-tire stop in fuel, and they're going to make a slight air pressure adjustment to account for him being out front. Remember, he's a little loose. That means the back end of the car wants to get away from him in the turns. 4-tire stop. Ken Schrader goes back out. Will he be able to get a drafting partner?
Johnny Benson goes with him. Now Jerry Nadeau, black car on the left, is the leader. Shawna Robinson's in the white car on the right, a lap down, but Sterling Marlin is getting a draft from her.
I tell you what, she's not a lap down right now. She has repassed the leaders with help from Sterling Marlin, and Marlin takes the lead. Here comes Ryan Newman. Rusty Wallace is in the pits. Dave?
Rusty Wallace's teammate Ryan Newman wanted to come in too, but it was too early. Ryan could run about 5 more laps than Rusty on fuel. He had no choice but to come in and see if anyone could come in with him. He is alone on pit road. Will not have a drafting partner when he goes back out. 4 tires full of fuel, wedge adjustment. He was still a tick tighter than they wanted him to be.
Boy, that's going to be tough for Rusty, especially if this pack catches him when he's by himself. They will just blow by him.
Now it's important for Schrader and Wallace that the race stay green until everyone else has made their pit stop. If the caution comes out now, they're going to be trapped behind.
Now here comes the pack, and they are running, and they're running fast.
And there you see Rusty Wallace, and here comes Kenny Schrader, the yellow car. Can they get hooked up? Can they run together and stay in front of this pack?
Now, Schrader's running a lot faster than Rusty, so by Rusty. And the pack he may have timed it right where Schrader will be okay, but I don't know about Rusty yet. We'll have to see.
John Andretti, Terry Labonte, Jimmy Johnson, Jeff Green making green flag pit stops while we watch the leaders.
And here comes Jerry Nadeau, the 25 car. He's on the inside of Sterling Marlin trying to take the lead. Ryan Newman decides to go with Nadeau.
And here comes Jeff Gordon into that picture. 24 car up to 4th.
Tell me when Jerry's coming.
Tell me when Jerry Nadeau.
About 2 laps, okay.
Rusty trying to break.
And I'm impressed with Shawna Robinson in that 49 car. We saw the leaders go by her, put a lap down. Guess what? She repassed them.
Elliott, Jeremy Mayfield, Casey Atwood.
25's on the spot, but he can't do it by himself.
All 3 on pit road right now, as is Jeffrey Bodine. Marty.
Jeremy Mayfield is in. They have been fighting a tight problem for most of the day, guys. They have not been as good as they thought they would be today. They're going to pull the fender out just a little bit on the left front, and a 4-tire change for the Dodge team.
How about Mark Martin? 6 cars sneaking into the picture. Where did he come from?
And Rusty's got to stay in front of these guys, BP, in case the yellow comes out, or he will be a lap down.
Oh, baby! That was so close. And Shawna looks like she's out of fuel in the 49 car.
Shawna, what happened?
I'm out of gas.
Out of gas.
Rookie team. Costly mistake.
That's going to cost a few laps for sure.
But now that all the rest of these cars should see that and start hitting pit road soon.
Is she going to make it, though? Do you chance it and stay out, or will she make pit lane?
Here they come.
Robby Gordon, Kyle Petty, and Ricky Craven are leaving pit road, as Jerry Nadeau, Jeff Gordon, Ryan Newman, and a host of others come in. Harvick is in, Ward Burton, Michael Waltrip, Ricky Rudd, Stacy Compton, Kenny Wallace, and we go to Bill Weber.
And Jerry Nadeau is on pit road, worked with the 24, his teammate Jeff Gordon, to pit together to make sure each would have a partner. Nadeau has been thrilled with the performance of his car. Jeff Gordon is on pit road, just a little tick tight, but they don't plan a chassis adjustment. Both these cars taking 4 tires and fuel. They want to have similar stops, get out together, and try and take Hendrick Motorsports to the front of the field. And Marty.
Ryan Newman is tight when he's behind other cars, Bill, but he's free when he's out front. An excellent 4-tire stop for these guys, and they'll beat all those guys off pit road.
Dave Marcus, has he run out of fuel?
Looks like he has to me.
And he might bring out a caution. Shawna Robinson has made it back to pit road, but we'll keep an eye on Dave Marcus. Here's Dale Earnhardt Jr. in. Marty?
And Alan, they will not put on the front nose piece because we're under green flag conditions. He said it has a very, very bad push. They are going to change 4 tires. They are going to make a wedge adjustment as well. They really wanted to put that piece of the nose on because that will make the car better aerodynamically. They're going to put on as much tape as they can to patchwork together what is already on the right front of the race car, hoping that it holds on. And when they do get a caution, they're going to put on this front nose piece. They go back to the right side to make sure that tape is down pat, and a little bit of problem on the left rear tire and a long stop for the Butt team.
Some of the leaders who've not yet stopped are coming in now. Dave?
Shawna Robinson has now refired the car. They were putting fuel in to prime the carburetor. She tries to get it out. They will push it out. Meanwhile, Bobby Labonte is in. His car was just a little bit loose. They're going to take a pound of air pressure out of the left rear tire. They will change 4 and try to send it back out of here. The 2 right side tires are on. 2 left side tires being put on now, and Labonte is gone. Matt?
Dave, the 40 car of Sterling Marlin is in, as is the 88 of Dale Jarrett. They made a chassis adjustment on the 40. He's been fighting a tight condition all day, meaning when he goes to turn the car continues to want to go straight, and the 88 service is done as well.
Caution is out for Dave Marcus's stalled car in turn 4. There are a couple of cars who have not made pit stops yet, but most everybody who was on the lead lap will be okay.
And those 2 cars that have not pitted, the 97 and 99, they're not in great shape because you know they're almost out of fuel. When the pace car picks them up, if they drive up on the bank, the fuel is going to run away from the pickup, and they might run out of gas on the caution flag.
Jeff Burton is the leader. He and Kurt Busch have not yet made those pit stops. And now, the interesting part is picking up the right leader with the pace car and getting the field gathered up so where everybody's in the right lap. It's always one of those things when you put a caution out in the middle of green flag stops.
Well, there you see the pace cars. Kenny Schrader and all those guys that had made their pit stops, they slowed down because Schrader thought he was the leader. But the leader is in turn 2, and Schrader was in turn 3, waiting for the pace car to catch him.
So they've got to go all the way around and catch up to the pace car. Schrader and the others do, so it's going to be a minute before they get the chance to come back around. But having just stopped under green, we should only see a couple of guys on pit road here, right?
Right. They'll all stay out and get their position back.
Unless Dale Jr. decides to go in and put that nose piece on his car.
Yep.
Well, now's the time to do it. They've got plenty of time to do it, so I think you're right, PP. We'll see that happen.
And you saw the 4 car down on the apron of the racetrack. Looked like he was out of fuel. I saw him wiggling the car back and forth. You see the 97 up on the 31-degree banking? The fuel gets away from the pickup, but it looks like these guys are going to be okay.
Jeff Burton, Kurt Busch, Mike Skinner.
And Skinner is out of fuel. See him weaving the car back and forth, trying to slosh some gasoline over to the pickup.
They come to pit road. Let's see how many of the others who just stopped under the green come in here as well. Ken Schrader's coming back in. Matt?
Alan Kurt Busch is in for service. Andy Therma going to work on the front. His car is tight. You can see the crew member making a chassis adjustment. They also made an air pressure adjustment in the right rear tire. A 4 tire change for Busch to Marty.
Jeff Burton is here. His car is extremely tight, but it has been pretty fast today. Taking a long time on the right rear because they're putting a rubber in the right rear, which should loosen them up. Bill Weber.
Well, Ken Schrader was here. Fuel only. Jeff Gordon is back on pit road. Fuel only. The 43 on pit road. Fuel only. A lot of guys looking at different options here. Some guys pitting for fuel. Some guys staying out. The big deal was if this thing goes green the rest of the way, the guys that had pitted early, like Schrader and company, were concerned that they wouldn't be able to get there on fuel. Marty.
And Dale Earnhardt Jr. putting on the fender that we talked about. This is a very tedious process. They're using pop rivet guns and screw guns as well. They're putting it on and trying to secure it as best they can so it will stay on for the rest of the race. They have done very well patchwork. They think they'll be even better with this more permanent fix.
And this is unbelievable.
They've got a couple of minutes because it takes that long for a pace lap around this giant 2.5-mile track. We're under caution in the Daytona 500. The second caution of the Daytona 500, giving this massive crowd a chance to stretch their legs and chat amongst each other during a rare moment of quiet. Listen to this.
Get out of the way. Get out of the way. Drop it. Go.
Dale Earnhardt Jr. telling his crew, hey, pace car's coming. We've got to get back on the track. He has stayed on the lead lap and come back to pit road for more repairs. We'll come back in a minute. NASCAR on NBC with the 44th Daytona 500 about set to go back under the green flag. 35 cars on the lead lap. Bobby Labonte is now the leader. Did not come back to pit road under the yellow. Mark Martin is second. Sterling Marlin, Dale Jarrett, and Elliott Sadler round out the top 5. First car to the inside of the leader is Ricky Craven. He got trapped a lap down by that caution flag.
On board with the Motorcraft Ford of Elliott Sadler as he closes in on the back bumper of Dale Jarrett, trying to push Jarrett to the front.
Bid for the lead. Here comes Mark Martin. And Sterling Marlin makes it 3 wide. Marlin to the lead.
And Bobby Labonte is where he does not want to be, in the middle. The leader last time will be lucky to be 10th this time by.
And there's nothing you can really do about it when you're in that situation. Those lines move on you. You may be in line saying, okay, I'm great, I'm great. All of a sudden, these guys start splitting you behind you, and they put you in the middle.
Well, actually, he was 9th that time by.
You were close. Marlin leads. Jarrett is up to 2nd. Elliott Sadler 3rd. Dodge, Ford, and Ford. Then Mark Martin and Matt Kenseth, Rusty Wallace and Ryan Newman, Ricky Rudd, all driving Fords. So apparently the incredible shrinking spoiler has done its job. It's made the Fords competitive. Dave Marcus's car brought out that last caution, stopping on the racetrack. They have taken it behind the wall. Stacy Compton also has had A.J. Foyt's car pushed behind the wall.
And Stacy Compton in the 14 car broke a gear when he made his pit stop. When he released the clutch to go back on the racetrack, the rear gear broke. That happened 3 times in last year's Daytona 500. It might be something to think about when these guys start making those important pit stops to try to get track position later on.
And Dave Marcus's car has just been reported out of the race. We will look to follow up and hear from him as his NASCAR Winston Cup driving career is now over. A lot of lead changes today. I think more than we expected so far. 14.
Michael Waltrip, last year's winner of the Daytona 500, trying to work his way back as he pulls alongside Jeremy Mayfield.
That's 11th and 12th they're racing for. Elliott Sadler getting shuffled back a little bit. Matt Kenseth by him to 3rd. Rusty Wallace in that outside lane. The 2 car.
Now, if you saw the 17 car there, he almost got stuck in the middle, but he used that blocking mirror we were talking about, BP, and he put a block. Is that Ricky?
Yeah,
Ricky Rudd behind him, okay. But he was right there, and he saw Ricky was having a run, and he turned the car down left and blocked Ricky.
Mark Martin looking ahead at Kevin Harvick. Remember, Harvick had the right front fender repaired after some pit road damage.
See, Michael Waltrip, that's Mike Wallace in the 33 car. Alan told you he's changed the battery in that car, and he's about 5 laps down.
Let's go to Marty Snyder.
Well, Alan, it's been a strange day here at Daytona, but this one may take the cake. Jeff Burton said he felt something rolling around on the floorboard of his race car. This was it. Part of the time it was under the gas pedal, some of the time it was under the brake, some of the time it was under his foot. They had to take the window net down, make 2 stops to find out what it was. It was a roll of duct tape. Now, as far as Dale Earnhardt Jr. goes, they have another nose on the car, about 50 pop rivets and about 20 screws, and a lot of bloody fingers down here. But Tony Eury Jr. told me they feel like they have a better chance to win this race now. Jr. asked, do I have 2 noses on the car? Tony Jr. said, yeah, you have 2 noses. Maybe we'll win by 1 of them. To Bill Weber.
Well, Marty, it's been an amazing day for Ricky Rudd and his crew. During the first round of caution flag pit stops, Rudd was leaving pit road and hit a tire with the left front portion of that front air dam. It did significant damage, bashed it in. They had to hammer it back out, then attach some sheet metal underneath and put tape over the front of it. Rudd has worked his way back up to the front. I just talked to Mike McSwain, his crew chief. They said the car's good, they've got a chance. Let's go further down pit road today.
Bill, when a driver wants to talk to his crew, there's a little button on his steering wheel he pushes. They call that keying the mic. There's a microphone inside his helmet. He then talks to his crew. Well, Rusty's been doing that, but the microphone has been hung open. It stays open, and so Rusty suddenly can't even talk to the crew anymore. They can't communicate with him. Now, they don't think it's a problem between his primary radio and his backup radio. They think the wire between the switch on the steering wheel and his radio may be faulty. They hope they can do something about it if they get a long caution later on.
Boy, that's going to be tough to fix. And as Dave said, we have 2 radios in the cars. In case something happens during a yellow, we can switch the radios. But if it's in that wiring harness on the steering wheel, BP, that can't be fixed.
Nothing they can do. Now, Rusty can talk to the crew. If the mic is keyed, he can talk to the crew, but unfortunately, they can't talk to him and tell him when to pit, ask him what the car's doing.
And as Bill Weber said earlier, this last set of pit stops might set us up for only one more visit to pit road the rest of the race, and that could be such a problem for Wallace's chances to win.
Yeah, because he was one of the first cars in, so his fuel mileage probably hasn't been.
Oh, Earnhardt Jr. flying through the grass.
Right rear tire down.
Looks like the right rear is flat.
Yep. Didn't hit anything, but he came tearing off the racetrack.
He's got no brakes, he said.
Wow.
No wonder he was flying through the grass.
Well, it just happened, but some bitch blowed a tire or something, broke it down, something.
Caution is out.
Brakes, so.
Caution is out for debris from Dale Earnhardt Jr.'s car between turn 4 and the entrance of pit road. The cars are going to come past it right now. See it there on the left. Excuse me, the right. Driver's left.
The other right.
I knew what I was thinking from the driver's perspective.
Yeah, there is the debris, and we can see, we saw with Dale Earnhardt Jr. earlier, just what a small piece of debris can do. Watch him as he knows the right rear's flat. He decides to come down pit road. He said, whoops.
I've got no brakes.
I got no brakes.
You don't get in the grass at speed often and not go sideways and over.
Yeah, that's where the right rear blew. And yeehaw.
I don't think that's what he was saying.
What a job, though. I mean, he goes down through the grass, off-road racing about 150 miles an hour.
But there again, probably the second best place for the rear tire to blow. At least you can keep the car straight. If that happened in the corner, he would have had his hands full, even more than he did then.
Tough day for Dale Jr. Lap 21. Cut a right front tire running second. Crew did all that work repairing all that front body. And now it's the rear tire that they've cut down.
And you saw him going down pit road in first gear, adhering to the 55 miles per hour. Let's listen to this pit stop.
Come on, stop it.
And he doesn't have a lot of brakes, so he can't stop it. So
Go, Dale, go on, keep going.
Push him back. And the problem here, Benny, is that they know they have a lot of damage. They're going to have to, rebuild the right rear quarter panel here. And what they're going to have to do probably is take it back to the garage. That's where their crash cart is. They've kind of run out of parts and pieces up here in the pit stall. They are about as far away as you can get from the garage, because they're in the number 1 pit stall here on pit road, and the garage is about half a mile away. So they have a lot of damage to fix. This one's going to take a long time. I think their chances are now done for winning the race. Dave?
Rusty Wallace has gotten 4 tires and fuel, Marty. He wanted them to take a tear off the window, but that requires an extra person. NASCAR said not until lap 100. Bill.
Jerry Nadeau is on pit road. He's getting right side tires. They'll top off with fuel. There was significant discussion among a number of teams. Should we stop? Should we not? The guys that went by first decided to stay out. Then the other guys came in. It's a big cat and mouse game. Nadeau's on his way around Jimmy Johnson down pit road with Benson behind him.
All right, Bill, thanks. Those who stayed on the racetrack: Sterling Marlin, Ricky Rudd, Mark Martin, Jeff Gordon, and Matt Kenseth, it looks like, and everybody else has come down pit road. So we'll follow up on what Marlin and Rudd's strategy was by staying on the track here when we come back. The Daytona 500 on NBC. It's been a tough day for favorites to win the Daytona 500. Tony Stewart out with an early engine failure. Dale Earnhardt Jr. cutting a tire at lap 21 while running second, the first of 2 problems he's had today. Just a moment ago on pit road, NASCAR wouldn't let Dale Earnhardt Jr.'s car onto the track until they proved to him, the official, that it had brakes.
So he backs up, hits the brakes. Okay, we got brakes. Okay, go ahead. And the official was walking out in front of the car. And now Junior is behind the wall. He's going to the garage area. I wonder what that's all about.
The little fiery attitude there?
No, I'm going to the garage.
Well, we'll follow up. And we'll also look to get a word with Dave Marcus shortly, too. Four drivers did not pit under this caution. Sterling Marlin, Ricky Rudd, Mark Martin, and Jeff Gordon. I said Matt Kenseth did not pit before. He did. He got off pit road first. Let's check in the garage.
Today, the sentimental favorite today was Dave Marcus. Dave, first off, did your problem start with an overheating problem?
Yeah, well, when the race began, you know, we're up in the front pack, and the car was great. It was driving good. It would keep up. And when I looked down at the temperature gauge going down the back straighter, I was reading 250 degrees. And you can't do that. I mean, these Chevrolet engines are tough, but you can't sit out there and run them 250 and 260 degrees. And so I told the guys I was getting temperature that I'd back out of the pack a little bit. And I thought maybe that would get some air on the nose and cool it down or blow the paper off. It didn't happen either. So we continued to try and ride it out. And I kept pumping the accelerator pump, hoping to spray fuel in there and cool the tops of the pistons off. When that caution came out, it was a big break for us. Got in, got the paper off, got back out, did drop. Something was wrong. I think we scored a cylinder wrong, just could not get back up to speed.
Thanks for the memories, Dave.
Dave Marcus, wonderful driving career is over. He's fallen out of the Daytona 500. Sterling Marlin is the leader. Next time by, we will be halfway through this race.
Oh, trouble.
Brett Bodine.
We see some damage to the left front of his automobile. Looks like he might have hit the wall with the front of the car.
Looks like he may have a little bit of damage on the left front quarter panel, too. See if we can get a replay, see if somebody got into him. Now, Ricky Craven's trying to get his lap back right here. That 32 car, the Tide Ride, he is trying to beat Sterling back.
Nobody behind him to help, though. And Sterling's not giving him a break, which he is not obligated to do.
And we go over this all the time, and I don't think should do.
Fourth caution of the race. Just went back up to speed on the restart, and this happened in turn 1.
Looks like that Kenny Wallace gets in the back of.
Yeah, you know, though, Benny, I saw some smoke from Brett's car before Kenny hit him.
First, yeah, it looked like.
Would that be a shifting point? Let's see.
I don't know.
There we are. Woo.
Right front tire's flagged, too, isn't it? Maybe that was the cause. We'll follow up in a moment. Right now, we're back under caution in the Daytona 500. Just past the halfway point of the Daytona 500. And under caution for the 4th time after Brett Bodine got bumped and spun around in turn number 2. Matt Yoakum.
And Alan, down here in the Dale Earnhardt Jr. garage here that he used all speed weeks, you can see his Budweiser team is hard at work repairing the suspension to the Bud Chevrolet. In fact, Jr. even got out some tools. He was helping them bang on the fender, and then he got out of the way and let some other guys get underneath there like Tony Eury Jr. But obviously a major disappointment for this team. They felt like they had a great shot to win this event. A lot of people picked the 8 car to win. But Junior, you can see in the background, talking to Jeff Clark, the engine tuner, he can still put a smile on this bad to Marty.
Well, Matt, it's been a rough day for Jeff Burton on the racetrack and in the pits. Jackman Brian Perry had the car run over by his foot. He is fine. I talked to him. He said it just hurt a lot. He might be broken. They're not quite sure. He was taken to the infield care center to have x-rays done, but they think he's going to be just fine. He said, I feel good. It just hurt a lot when it happened.
hey, Marty, what was that again?
Had a bad day on the track and a bad day on pit road.
And the car got ran over by his foot?
Yeah, well, the car ran over his foot.
Okay.
I wonder why you guys were laughing while I'm talking about some poor guy's broken foot.
Speaking of a bad day on pit road. Hey, by the way, we did ask Dale Earnhardt Jr. to come on camera and speak with us. Matt Yoakum says Dale Earnhardt Jr. refused, said he was not talking right now. I think the quote was, I ain't talking now.
I don't blame him.
Napa Field summary as we are just past halfway in the Daytona 500. Been a pretty good race. 10 different leaders, 14 lead changes. Michael Waltrip led a lot of the early going. Ken Schrader then led a pretty significant chunk. Sterling Marlin, Matt Kenseth, Kevin Harvick, Jerry Nadeau, Bobby Labonte, Jeff Burton, Kurt Busch, and John Andretti. Others who have led, the 2 drivers out of the race. Tony Stewart, one of the early favorites, went out just 2 laps in with an engine failure. Dave Marcus, who went out just moments ago. Sterling Marlin is the leader. Rick is second. Mark Martin third. Jeff Gordon fourth. And then Matt Kenseth in fifth. Followed by Kurt Busch, Ryan Newman, Robby Gordon, Ward Burton, and Todd Bodine is up into the top 10. Set to go back on the restart. Lap down cars to the inside. Ricky Craven, Shawna Robinson, Robert Presley. The bubbles over the lead lap cars as we go back racing.
See Ricky Craven having trouble getting his car up to speed. And under NASCAR rules, the guy that on the outside has to cross that start-finish line first.
Craven started 43rd in the race and pushed his way up into the top 15 in the opening laps, but then got caught a lap down in a series of green flag pit stops. When the caution came out right at the tail end, he wasn't able to get back in front of the leader before the pace car picked up the field. Dodge, Ford, Chevrolet, top 4. First Pontiac is Bobby Labonte back in 11th.
All right, Ricky Rudd trying to get a run. He backed up to get a run off turn 2. Can he get enough run on Sterling Marlin? Doesn't look like it. Bill, what's going on with Ricky Rudd? What are they saying in his pit?
They're saying follow the 40, and that was the plan. They talked it over, the 2 teams, during the caution. They wanted the 28 to stay behind the 40 and then try and break away from the rest of the field. So look for that to continue here. Ricky Rudd, when they get up to speed, just to sit on Sterling's bumper and see who will follow them and try and break away from the pack behind them.
Because wasn't it Dale Jarrett that was talking right at the, was it Dale or Ricky Rudd said they weren't sure how their cars would lead the pack, that they were good behind the car, but they didn't think their cars were strong enough to lead the pack.
And I was just thinking, 3 Fords have led today, but only one when it wasn't in that exchange of green flag pit stops, and that was Matt Kenseth, and he only led a couple of laps. So they have not been out in front under full green conditions yet.
And not white car on the front, on the bottom of the racetrack in front of Rusty Wallace is Robert Presley.
Lap down in 35th spot. Matt Kenseth. How about Matt Yoakum? One of those Matts.
Well, it's one of the Matts, Allen, and down here in the junior garage, they have fixed the 8 car. Tony Eury Jr., the car chief. What was all the damage?
Well, the first thing, we had a tire blowout today. I don't know what caused that. I mean, we haven't got anything really that ain't normal, but then the second time he went through the grass, something snapped in the rear, and I think the right rear tire blowed that time for some odd reason. And the first one we cut something, that one I don't know, they jerked the brake caliper off of the housing. And NASCAR's got some kind of strange rule where if you don't have brakes, you can't run. Well, the car had brakes, and I was trying to prove to the official, but he's kind of stubborn anyway. So, but we'll just go back out there and get normal points and go on to Rockingham. And hopefully we'll have a better time at Rockingham we did last year.
Well, they just bled the brakes, and he's getting ready to back the 8 car out of the garage area, Alan.
All right, Matt, Dale Earnhardt Jr. right now 6 laps down, make it 7, back in 39th spot.
Yeah, I hope Junior has a better time at Rockingham than he had last year. If I'm about the 4th or 5th lap, he hit the turn 3 wall at Rockingham last year.
Michael Waltrip trying to pick his way back up through traffic. Led a bunch earlier. Michael in 10th spot, 9th, gaining, pushing Rusty Wallace past Robby Gordon. Gap to leader Sterling Marlin for Michael Waltrip. Well, we know one thing's for certain. It will not be a 3rd straight Michael Waltrip, Dale Earnhardt Jr. 1-2 finish at Daytona.
And we saw Michael go down, his speed go up to 180 miles per hour going down in turn 1. And look how quickly it goes down to 180. Kevin Harvick, that 29 car, outside pole sitter, trying to push Michael Waltrip by, on board with Kevin Harvick.
Ward Burton in the 22, Todd Bodine in the 66.
Yeah, those guys are in the high lane. They don't want to be there because they've got a lap car in front of them, and they'd like to get around that car of Robert Presley as soon as they can, because they feel that they're not going to get a whole lot of help if you got a lap car in the way.
Here's Elliott Sadler, good brother's car.
He did not get off turn 2 well at all. And you see as he lost momentum off the corner, those guys going by him on the outside.
Dale Earnhardt Jr. a couple of minutes ago came back out of the garage, radioed his crew, said, "Hey guys, it's alive again. Let's go back at it. Watch this." He was in a hurry. I think he's about out of patience today, do you think?
Well, he goes in wanting to win the race so badly, and as they all do, all 43 wanted to win. And when something happens like that, they get very frustrated.
Good run for Michael Waltrip to the inside of Ryan Newman. 7th spot there. Matt Kenseth trying to push Jeff Gordon back. Look at the Roush freight train there. 6, 17, and 97. 3 of Jack Roush's cars running together.
And nobody lined up at that 24 car.
Jeff Gordon has no friends in that little deal.
Well, you know, you beat people often enough. When you need their help, you'll find you don't get it as much.
This is the 2nd time this has happened to him in this race. Remember, he started 3rd but couldn't find any friends at the beginning of the race, and that's when he and Johnson fell backwards. Same thing happening again, guys.
Oh, comes off right up against that wall off turn 2.
Good day for Roush so far.
Right now, 3rd, 4th, 5th, and 24th.
Sterling Marlin, couple of times a winner of the Daytona 500. He did it in back-to-back years, 1994 and 95. At 113 of 200 laps. You're watching the Daytona 500 on NBC. The 44th Daytona 500 coming your way live on NBC from the Daytona International Speedway, approaching 300 miles in the Great American Race. At NBCSports.com, you can check out a special subsection, in-depth coverage of today's race in NASCAR's new season. BP's mailbag is in there. It's got the hottest topics surrounding today's race, and Wally been doing a little writing too, I hear.
Yes, I have.
Is it any good?
I don't know. I haven't seen it yet.
Oh, okay.
I've had a lot of help.
Want to see how they edited you, huh? That's at NBCSports.com, and if you want to see the encore presentation of the Daytona 500, tomorrow at noon Eastern and Pacific on TNT.
These guys in single file are just trying so desperate to get away from the rest of that pack. And you've got 3 guys at the head of this deal that are some of the best drafters there are in the super speedway. I mean, Sterling, Ricky Rudd, Mark Martin, these guys normally don't make any mistakes. And they are going to just stay in line. They're just trying to get away from that pack.
Michael Waltrip trying to work his way back to the front. The defending 500 winner showing in 7th spot. That 15 car is Michael.
Through the windshield there, not too bad. Fish is pretty good. Saw the Busch race yesterday, later on in the day, and boy, that sun comes right up over there by them grandstands BP, and it was very difficult to see out of those cars.
The problem with this shot, all those cars in front of you. That's what's wrong with this shot. Michael Waltrip wants to see nothing but blue sky and black racetrack and nothing in front of him. Right now, Michael Waltrip is in 7th position.
You can see he's moved up steadily since the restart. And again, the field beginning to sort out single file as we put a few laps in on this set of tires.
You know, we've seen all day that the leader is very difficult to pass. When Shawna Robinson was in front of these cars, the pace dropped off 2 or 3 miles per hour, down to 181, 182, and they still couldn't pass. And a lot of the guys think one reason is because of the negative air pressure in the carburetor. You see the air goes up across the car, and there is the cowl opening where the air goes in for the carburetor. But as you get behind the car, that airflow leaves that other car and misses the shield. You lose the positive air pressure going inside. It becomes a negative, and therefore robs you of a great deal of horsepower.
And we have not seen very many passes for the lead, certainly not in the final laps of races this week. Will we see some today?
And I think that the Shawna Robinson thing, to me, was the most telling thing of all.
And I think we've seen, like in the 125s, they're going to have to make a plan and gang up on the leader a lot earlier than just 1 or 2 laps before the end. They're going to have to do it 5 or 6 laps in it, because it takes that long to get things lined up and try to make that pass.
Well, they're ganging up on Ricky Rudd right now. He's been shuffled from 2nd farther back into the top 10. It's all going on behind Sterling Marlin, the leader of the 44th Daytona 500. Next time he crosses the start-finish line will be at 300 miles. The Daytona 500 continuing at the Daytona International Speedway with Sterling Marlin out in front. Just past 300 miles, Alan Bestwick, Wally Dallenbach, Benny Parsons here with NBC's first live broadcast of the 500. Been a pretty exciting race so far, BP.
Yes, it has. And you see we all got the memo for the Great American Race. Blue, white, and red.
Very good. Very good. Wally, we've seen, I think, more competition, more lead changes than we expected to coming into the race.
Yeah, we did. I mean, I talked about patience at the start, which I think we have seen a lot of patience. There's been a lot of courtesy out there, so to speak. But, boy, if it stays like this towards the end of the race, it's going to be a heck of a finish.
What we are seeing right here is the intensity picking up a lot.
Yeah, everybody's trying to get in position here. Although we still have a lot of laps left, you've got to be in that lead group, that top 6 or 7 or 8 cars if you're going to have a shot to win. That's where everybody's trying to get right now, in that lead little group.
And just a moment ago, Dale Earnhardt Jr., the 8 car, was back on the racetrack right in front of Michael Waltrip, and it looked like those guys were going to run up to the front. But Junior made it by the 17 car. Kenseth, Michael was not able to, and you see they're still back there side by side, although Michael has the drafting help from Jeff Gordon. Now it looks like they're going to be able to get by.
Yeah, but see, you see the 8 car keeps moving high, and I know he's trying to follow that draft, but that's not helping Michael. The only way he's going to help Michael is if he stays down in front of Michael so Michael can pick up on his draft. But if Dale moves up the racetrack like he did there, it's not really going to help him.
Michael Waltrip to 3rd. Let's take you through the field, get some updates on teams' races and their strategy from here to the finish. We start with the leaders, Sterling Marlin. Here's Matt Yoakum.
And right now, Alan, I talked to Lee McCall, Sterling Marlin's crew chief. Marlin trying to get another Daytona 500 win, but right now they're on a gas conservation run. And he's also just saving the car, knowing there's a lot of race left in this Daytona 500 today.
And Matt, Mark Martin is running very well. In fact, he stayed out on the last opportunity to pit. I checked with his crew chief, Ben Leslie. I said, why'd you stay out? Everything okay? You can make it on one more stop? No comment. Just a wry smile from Ben Leslie. They're doing very well. Matt?
Dave, I spoke to Slugger Labby, Michael Waltrip's crew chief. He said first they had an equalized tire, but he says the car, they loosened up Michael. He says the car is very good now. He is very comfortable with this 15 car. To Dave.
Matt, in the last round of pit stops, Matt Kenseth, Mark Martin's teammate, came in and changed only 2 right side tires. They believed they have fixed the car a little bit, and the last quotation from Matt was not bad at all. Matt, back to you.
Dave, an update on the 97 car of Kurt Busch. I talked to Sean Parker, the car chief for Kurt Busch this year. He says that he's very, very excited about this 97 car. He's getting very antsy. The veteran crew chief, Jimmy Finnegan, has had to calm him down since there's a lot of race left. They took on 2 tires in the last stop. No adjustments, Bill.
Well, Matt, everything going well so far for Jeff Gordon. In fact, it's basically the kind of race you'd expect to see from an experienced veteran, working his way toward the front, hoping to be around at the end and make his move then. I just talked to his crew chief, Robbie Loomis. He said everything's good, hoping to do it on one more stop. That's the story on the 24. Behind him, Ricky Rudd, who was running second to Sterling Marlin, and he's now moved around the 24. Ricky is trying to work his way back to the front. The 88 slowing down. Let's go back upstairs.
Bill, Dale Jarrett just seemed like he lost about 15 spots in the backstretch. Came across the start-finish line last lap by up in 11th. And right now he's back in 24th.
Well, my guess is that the car got loose, pushed, or someone got in front of me. All he had to do was back off the throttle, probably. And when that happens, see his last lap speed around 179. All you got to do is back off the throttle a little bit, and it just kills these cars. So hard to accelerate back up speed.
Matt Kenseth trying Michael Waltrip for 3rd.
And looks like Michael's gotten that outside position. Who's going to help who? Who's got help?
Both of them. Ricky Rudd behind Kenseth, Rusty Wallace behind Waltrip.
And Michael maintains that 3rd spot.
Jeff Gordon knocked back a few spots in that last exchange.
Man, did you see somebody bottom out there?
Rudd? I think it was Rudd.
Looked like Ricky Rudd's car bottomed out badly down the middle of 1 and 2.
Just radioed in. He's lost the handle big time. Lost the handle big time. It's the 2nd time it's happened to him in about 10 laps, Benny. A few laps ago, he radioed in with the car just slid up the track. That's why he fell out behind Sterling Marlin. He got the field back, started moving forward through the field, got around Gordon, but now he says he's lost the handle again.
Kevin Harvick sliding around Matt Kenseth.
And he's got help with Jeff Gordon right behind him.
Rusty Wallace on the outside in the 2.
And Jeff pushes and tries his best to get by, and Harvick gets through. Is Gordon able to clear Rusty Wallace? No. Oh, Ward Burton's on the outside of 97, and luckily the spotter did his good job. The guy up here told Kurt Busch that someone was on the outside of him. He did not come up and pin him against that 2nd turn wall.
About 20 laps away from what would be final pit stops if the race stays under the green flag. 130 of 200 laps complete. Sterling Marlin leads. Tonight, NBC's coverage of the Olympic Winter Games continues. You'll see the presentation of that disputed gold medal in figure skating to Soleil and Peltier. That's part of NBC's coverage of the Winter Olympic Games. Should be a great moment tonight at 7 Eastern Time.
Sterling Marlin still continues to lead the Daytona 500. You know, his first race was in 1976. Did not get his first victory until 1994. That was a Daytona 500. He said that is by far the biggest thing that ever happened to him in his racing career was winning the Daytona 500.
Marlin's 2nd-generation driver out of Columbia, Tennessee. His dad, Cuckoo Marlin, a Winston Cup competitor for many years. Now his son, Stedman, starting to make his way up the NASCAR ranks.
Now you see this first pack here. I'll guarantee you these guys are, they're all waving to each other. There's a lot of hand signals on a restrictor plate race. Here's one of them. Here's Mr. Johnson saying, okay, that means stay in line. He's telling the guy behind him and in front of him, let's just stay in line and go, go, go. If you put your right hand up and you wave left to right, that means something big is happening in front of you, and it's not good. If you put your hand up and just like in a stopping motion, your right hand, that's telling the guy behind you, hey, pay attention, something's going on up front, just chill out a minute. And there's another hand motion that I can't really explain, but we've seen it a lot on the freeways.
I think we get what you mean. Anybody going to pay attention to a rookie like Johnson giving hand signals?
Bobby Labonte looked up.
Obviously not.
He looked up in the mirror and he saw that and said, are you crazy?
Get off my tail, rookie.
Dodge, Ford, Chevrolet, Ford. The top 5 right now. Michael Waltrip's been a big loser in these last couple of laps. Sliding back in that inside lane. We talked about the incredible shrinking spoiler in our pre-race show, the adjustments NASCAR's made to try and make the Fords more competitive this week. They're doing pretty well right now, though again, haven't seen one lead yet.
Well, if they get lined up and they're in the right place right here about 4 or 5 laps to go, you will see one lead because I think they'll all stick together.
Us against the world kind of a thing.
Yes.
Again, Ford has led today, but most of the time it was on either an exchange of green flag pit stops or just after a caution flag pit stop when they got off pit road. We haven't seen a Ford under the green pull out and take the lead.
Right.
Like if Mark Martin were to pull out and pass Sterling Marlin's Dodge here. Now, we should be about 10 laps away from final pit stops. Bill Weber down on pit road. About 10 laps or so till we see what could be some pretty critical stops, huh?
Going to be very interesting to see what happens down here. Obviously, some guys are going to try and push it because they don't want to run out on the back end of this next stop, Alan. But it's about 10 laps away, as you said. It's going to be how you set up your car for the end of this run as well, because that's when it's going to be most critical.
Trouble. Mike Skinner, Shawna Robinson off turn 2. Caution is out.
Okay, now about that pit strategy.
Oh, that's going to make it interesting, isn't it?
Yep.
Oh, man,
That completely changes things.
5th yellow flag of the Daytona 500 as Sterling Marlin brings the field back to the caution. Nobody able to get a lap back from the leader. All right, that's 138. 62 to go. Stop with 61 to go.
Yep.
Caution shouldn't be a long one. Everyone's driven away from the turn 2 scene.
The Jack Roush cars. The Jack Roush cars might be in pretty good shape.
If they're up. If they're not up, come on in.
Because the 99 car and the 97 were the last cars to pit before. Our pit reporters, I'm sure, can find out how many laps they ran.
Let's take a look at what happened to put us under caution off turn 2.
Oh, looks like just got loose, yeah, and took Mike Skinner with her. And the problem with these cars on a racetrack like this, if you get the cars real close to each other going through the banking, the car on the bottom gets the air taken off its spoiler. See right there? She was real close to the 4 car. And what happens when you're that close fender to fender, there's no air on your spoiler if you're on the bottom, and you loop it. Unfortunately, took Mike with her.
But again, both cars have driven away and they're back on pit road. We see the work being done to the Shawna Robinson Dodge.
See, the right front tire has gone flat. When you hit the brakes and stop these tires from rolling, they just like sandpaper that grinds a hole right through the tire into the air.
Yeah, there's a lot of asphalt back there where they were sliding.
We've seen it be hard to pass for the lead today. Who gets off pit road first on these crucial stops? Dave.
Mark Martin's car is a little bit tight. He slid past his marks. They have to push him back. This will cost time. They will be just at their fuel window if they pack it full of fuel. He is a little bit tight. They'll make a wedge and tire pressure adjustment as well. Matt.
No adjustments on the 40 car of Sterling Marlin, who was the leader. They feel like, Andy Graves tells me, they will be 3 to 4 laps short on fuel, and he's down and away.
Jeff Gordon just took off, had to dodge the 26. It was 4 tires, no adjustment. He was just a tick tight, but they didn't want to free it up anymore. Marty.
Ryan Newman was tied on that last run, Bill. They didn't take the run round of Wedge out. It'll be 4 tires passed by a whole host of cars on pit road. Sterling Marlin won the race off the pit lane. Today Burns.
Rusty Wallace came in and he got blocked in his pit. They had to push his car back. That cost him time. He was a little bit tight. They adjusted for that. But again, costly time wasted on pit lane trying to avoid another car.
Sterling Marlin's team holds serve. Came on pit road first, came off pit road first. Question is, do they have enough fuel to the finish if we don't get another caution flag? 60 laps to go in the Daytona 500. Good work, guys. You kept your man in the lead. At Daytona, the field coming to the 1 to go signal, and I am shocked nobody's coming in to top off the fuel tank.
I am too. I don't know that it's going to make any difference. I don't know that 2 laps under the caution flag is going to make any difference on making it.
Well, some of the guys in the back of the field think it is. Terry Labonte, Jerry Nadeau, Joe Nemechek, Jeff Ryan are coming in to top off the gas, but all of the leaders have stayed out. Jeff Burton and Kurt Busch, 2 of the Roush cars, ran 61 laps on a tank of fuel earlier, Bill.
Yeah, Alan, the guys at the back have nothing to lose, as you know, by coming in. But here's the deal up front. It's just so difficult to pass. A lot of these guys are willing to take the gamble that there will be another caution, or that A, they'll all make it, or B, they all will not. Some of the Fords seem to think they can make it. Some of the Chevys and the Pontiacs aren't too sure. Matt?
Bill, that's exactly the same case down here in the 29 pit of Kevin Harvick. I talked to Kevin Hamlin, the crew chief. I said, are you going to come in and go for a gas and go? He says, I'd hate to give up the track position. We're just going to have to wait and see what everybody else does.
Well, you know, the Roush cars historically get the best fuel mileage, so they're sitting pretty good right now.
And the only thing that's going to hurt them if there's another caution flag, because if there is another caution flag, they'll have to stop and put on 4 fresh tires, because they are so much, the cars are so much better with the newer tires on the car. Dave, what are they saying down in your pits?
Well, I'm with Bill Wilburn. He's a crew chief for Rusty Wallace. Now, it seems to me you've been getting about 50 laps out of a fuel run, but you've got to go 59 now. How come you didn't come in and top off?
We pitted at 62 to go, and with the caution laps and our fuel mileage has gotten a little bit better as the day's gone on. We've tried to free the car up a little bit. I think we'll be okay.
All right, that's a word from Bill. By the way, he's got his helmet and fire suit on. He's still going over the wall changing tires for Rusty.
The key word there being think.
Just past 350 miles.
Sterling got a good start there, didn't he?
Sterling Marlin leads. Kevin Harvick is second. Jeff Gordon is third. Kurt Busch is fourth. Elliott Sadler is fifth. Rest of the top 10 are Bill Elliott, Ward Burton, Rusty Wallace, Michael Waltrip, and Ricky Rudd.
And now Sterling has the lap car of Robert Presley between himself and Kevin Harvick and Jeff Gordon. Is that going to make a difference?
Or will that bite them if they all line up and go by?
32 cars on the lead lap after 350 miles. 11 different leaders, 16 lead changes today, and we've just wrapped up the 5th caution of the afternoon. Bill, talking a lot about strategy. What do you hear?
Well, here's the deal, Alan. Before that caution came out, a lot of guys were looking at going 55 laps. So I did a random survey down here, and the feeling was that you really wanted to be inside that 55-lap window to be sure you could make it. In fact, I asked crew chiefs, if you stop with 55 to go, can you make it? And I got a lot of, yeah, I'm really sure, I think. And now they had to stop earlier than that. So it's going to be a real gamble for some of these guys coming down to the checkers if it stays green.
Yeah, and that's the big if. That's the gamble that a lot of the crew chiefs are betting on, that it won't stay green to the finish. Look at the run Kevin Harvick has.
He's got a great run on Presley. With help from Jeff Gordon, he goes by that lap car.
Robbie Loomis, Jeff Gordon's crew chief, looking on, plotting his strategy. Two-time 500 winner in 3rd place.
And you don't have a chance when you're a lap down. I mean, basically, these guys, you don't exist if you're a lap down in this race. They don't want to run with cars that are lap down.
AutoTrader.com sponsors our move of the race. Have you seen the move of the race yet?
I don't think so.
Nope. Think it's still to come?
I think it is still to come.
Best move we've seen so far?
The move of the 40 crew the last time, keeping them out front.
I agree. But we think the best is yet to come. It usually is that way in the Daytona 500. Kevin Harvick started second, fell back into the field. Matt, he's back up to second now.
Well, he's on the move, but the biggest concern down in this 29 pit, Allen, is fuel conservation. Jerry Haley, Danny Lawrence, and Kevin Hamlin have poured over the computer, then walked away, walked back, looked at it again, walked away because it still didn't have the answer they wanted. How much do you think 1/10 of a gallon would cost you today, and how much do you think it would be worth?
1/10 of a gallon could cost them
$1 million.
At least $750,000.
Winner's share of today's race, $1.3 million.
But these drivers aren't thinking about $1.3 million. They're thinking about winning the Daytona 500.
Or conserving fuel. It's hard to conserve fuel. I mean, especially in this field, you got to keep your foot down. If you start cracking off the throttle to save fuel, you got about 40 guys who are going to pass you.
Elliott Sadler, back in 5th place, has done a terrific job today. The Wood Brothers car started in 41st position, Dave.
And remember, he finished 3rd here in July, last July, Alan. So that 21 car is running very, very well. I talked to Pat Trice and his crew chief. They're a 1-car team. I said, well, who do you think will work with you? Because Pat told me they needed help. Well, he says, we hope the guys who build our motors. Those are the Roush cars, and they've been running very well as well.
Talked about Elliott Sadler finishing 3rd in the Pepsi 400. You know, adrenaline is an amazing thing. As he came down to the checkered flag, he said going in turn 3, he got such a rush of adrenaline that he was going to finish 3rd at Daytona. He started trembling, just shaking, going in turn 3 and shook all the way to the checkered flag.
Wow. Not like he's not an excitable guy anyway.
But this place can do it to you.
Bill Elliott, haven't talked much about him. 6th place for that 9 car. 2-time Daytona 500 winner. Bill, solid run.
Solid run and a 14.5-second pit stop last time. Came in 12th and moved to the front with the help of that pit stop. Was a little bit tight, made the adjustment, but the thing here is the 9 car may be half a lap shy on fuel.
That'll hurt. Coming up on the 3/4 mark of the 44th Daytona 500, Sterling Marlin is out in front seeking a 3rd win in the Great American Race. Back at Daytona, a massive accident down in turn 1 has claimed at least 15 cars. It started up toward the front of the field. You see the carnage scattered in the corner. Matt Kenseth, Johnny Benson, Ricky Rudd was in it. Oh, look at that. Kenny Wallace, John Andretti, Casey Atwood. Is that Jeff Gordon? Can't see.
I don't think so. I think Jeff Gordon. I think that Kevin Harvick spun. I think that Jeff Gordon was able to get underneath him. I don't know that for sure. Kenny Wallace, car is on fire, but he's quickly out of the car.
Todd Bodine's car there, just barely visible on the left of the screen.
His window nets have dropped
Yeah,
down.
Gordon made it through. What a scene.
Casey Atwood climbing out.
Good news. Look at his car, all torn up. At the tracks where they use the restricted engine package, Daytona and Talladega, all the drivers talk about the big one. Harvick is out of his car. They talk about the big one, the wreck that sweeps up a large number of cars. It's just happened 3/4 of the way through the race. Yep. Jerry Nadeau damaged in it. He's just driven back around to pit road. There's Bobby Hamilton. See the Hans device he's getting off his neck, the head and neck restraint. One of the 2 that are approved and mandated by NASCAR.
And that's the 2nd car that Hamilton has torn up this week.
I think Bobby Hamilton's telling the fire guy, hey guys, my car's on fire. How about come on over? Put it out.
Sixth caution of the 500. And it was a big one. Let's take a look at what happened. There's
Kenny
Kenny
Wallace out of the car, yep.
All right, Jeff Gordon and the Kevin Harvick make contact going down in turn 1.
And there we were talking about throwing the block, and that looks like what happened.
And the first 4 or 5 cars get through, and then about the 7th or 8th, I don't know, about wherever the 43 car of Andretti, that was the next car to hit. And after that, there's no place for anyone to go.
That's right, the track just becomes completely blocked. Let's take another look. See well, that's kind of a little bit afterwards, but see Harvick slide back up.
How did Ward Burton get through that? Wow.
And all those cars on the inside, and then the hole closed up.
Add Jeremy Mayfield to the list of those involved, the 19 car.
Man, oh man.
Now look, let's take another look here. Jeff goes down. Kevin Harvick goes to put on the block, drives down on top of Jeff. Jeff just didn't give.
Or if he tried to get out, he didn't get out in time.
Yeah.
One of the two.
Andretti, a hard lick.
Oh, wow.
You know, same thing happened in the qualifying race between Tony Stewart.
Is that Schrader caught up in it too? Schrader got a piece of it.
Folks, just watch this and listen as you're part of the big one. On board with Jeff Gordon. We see him. All right, he goes down, tries to get on the inside of Harvick. Harvick comes down to block. They make contact. Ricky Rudd, let's ride on board with him.
This all unfolds right in front of Ricky when Harvick starts to come back down across the racetrack. He's right in Rudd's path.
You see Ricky's just falling away. You see smoke, he slows down. You can't see anything.
Line coming up across the front. Coming back down.
Oh, and
Miller racetrack.
Just gets caught behind the right rear. Almost had it cleared.
Bill Weber.
Okay, Jeff Gordon's on pit road. Missed pit road last time. He didn't think it would be open. By the time they told him it was going to be open, he was past the entrance. Robbie Loomis said, I want you to come in this time. We're going to go out about 15th, but I want to get those tires off of there and check the right front. He doesn't have any right front damage. He's getting tires. He said he was battling with the 97. When Harvick came down, there was nowhere for him to go, and that's what created the wreck.
Got 11 cars so far on my list of those in the accident. And that number probably doesn't include a couple who got damage and continued away.
You know, as someone said, you know, they changed the rules trying to make it safer. And again, hopefully everyone is okay, but we still had the big one. And so many of the drivers have said, cars don't cause the wrecks. It's drivers that cause the big wrecks by making contact.
You're absolutely right, PP. I talked about that earlier. It's just, you know, the cars are safer. You're right. They're the head and neck restraints. We have a lot more safer race cars as far as around the drivers. But the guys make mistakes. You get in crashes like that. That's what we were talking about. Give and take. There was too much take there.
Ken Schrader took his car to the garage. You see the remains of Richard Petty's Dodge that John Andretti was driving. Bobby Hamilton Chevy. And the cleanup continues. Dale Earnhardt Jr. involved in his third incident of the day. He got caught up in the middle of the big one that happened down in turns 1 and 2. Cleanup continues in turn number 1 after the big one. 16 cars. An accident, and the inside of turn 1 at Daytona looks like a junkyard.
It all started when 24 of Jeff Gordon and Kevin Harvick, the 29, made contact. There you see Harvick gets bumped from behind by Jeff Gordon when he goes down to block Jeff. They make contact. He goes across the racetrack, and then along comes Andretti, and all of a sudden the racetrack is blocked. There's no place for anyone to go except into the wreck, and there's where they go.
And we talked earlier about the little mirrors guys were putting on the roll bar on their left side of the car and blocking, and how that applies to these rules in this kind of racing.
And you got to do it. I mean, that's what you have to do. You've got to use those mirrors. Here we got on board with Kevin Harvick. He moves down to block Jet. Jet just catches him in the left rear, and that's all it takes.
And we heard the lights out when he backed the thing in the fence. Robby Gordon and Jeffrey Bodine down through the grass.
Ryan Newman slipped through there too.
I mean, that's one place that a race car driver does not want to go, is in the grass, but if they were wise to do that.
Let's add a 17th car to that. Mike Wallace just saw in that view was in that wreck too. 17 cars. Fortunately, all of the drivers out of their cars, and they're all okay. 46 laps to go in the Daytona 500. Under caution at the 44th Daytona 500 after a 17-car accident down in turns 1 and 2. Here's what Jeff Gordon said after it was over.
My right front a little bit. I don't think it's too bad. I mean, he just totally tried to block me. I wasn't even really trying to get up there. That damn 97, the wild man, and I'm trying to block him, you know, and the 29 had a run, and he started to come down. Big mess up there. We're going to have to come get 4 tires on that thing, I think, Jeff.
Well, there you have it. I mean, we talked about the blocking, and that's exactly what happened.
Marty Snyder.
Ricky Rudd had a very good view. First of all, Ricky, what was your view? What did you see happening in front of you? And how much blocking is going on out there?
I really couldn't tell what happened, Marty. We'd been up front there, and we came in on that last pit stop, and I had a little miscommunication. I couldn't find the pits like I needed to, so we came back out. We were about 10th when the wreck happened. And couldn't see what happened. Somebody had turned sideways, hit the fence, come back down. I drove to the bottom trying to miss it, and he hit me in the right rear quarter panel, turned me head on in the fence, and it was pretty much over after that. I really couldn't tell what happened. It was pretty wild out there, pretty typical restricted plate racing.
A lot of blocking going on.
Yeah, too much probably, yeah.
All right, Dave Burns has Kenny Wallace.
And Kenny Wallace has walked out of the care center. Are you okay?
Yeah, I'm fine. You know, first of all, I just want to thank Pennzoil and DI, you know, but I guess everybody wants to know what the hell happened, right?
Yes, please.
Had a big wreck, and, you know, it's Daytona and Talladega. You know, same thing happened last year. 50 laps ago, we were all going for it, and I was shooting a 3 wide up the middle. Just, I guess Harvick and Gordon got together.
Did you see the fire in your car?
Oh, yeah. I mean, you know, I was just going low, hoping I could miss Harvick, but I T-boned him, and I was bursting into flames. I told my wife it was a Fury crash. It's a bad deal, I know it is, but what are you going to do? Little E's in there laughing. He says it's the first big crash he's ever been through in his life. I'm not happy. He's trying to cheer me up, but I think the only injury I had was to my helmet, just pulling the plug. There's more famous drivers behind me. Get some of them.
Well, and that will be Kevin Harvick walking out here in just a second. Thanks, Kenny. We're glad that he is okay. And we'll have Harvick when we come back. Alan?
All right, Dave. Got the ranks of the contenders thinned considerably by that crash. Now just 18 cars on the lead lap.
Back here at Daytona, we have caught up with Kevin Harvick, who was in front of Gordon when the whole thing started. And Kevin, looked like you were trying to hold your position. What happened?
Well, I mean, there's 50 laps to go in the Daytona 500, and everybody's trying to fight for everything they've gotten. And I thought there was enough room, and I must have just come down and caught the nose of Gordon's car. But after that, it pretty much all hell broke loose.
You hit the wall hard going backwards. Are you okay?
Yeah, I'm fine. That was the least of the licks. I think there was 4 or 5 more after that. So, you know, I just hate it for this Goodwrench team. I mean, we had a chance to win the Daytona 500, and now we got a pile of junk.
What would you do next time? Same thing. Did you get a clear call from your spotter to come down?
No, I mean, it was obviously, I don't know if everything was happening so fast, but there was no clear, there was no anything. It was just, you know, it was just back and forth, and there was a lot of things happening. So I looked in the mirror and thought there was enough room, and he couldn't have hit me very far up on the bumper, and it was just enough. I mean, you're pretty much on the edge of out of control. It's just close racing.
And in the end, your fault or Jeff's?
Well, right now, I want to pinch his neck off, but I don't know whose fault it is. I haven't seen it yet.
All right, he's going to look at the tape. He'll get a definitive answer when he sees the tape. Alan?
Okay, thank you. Back under green. with 100 miles to go when they come to the start-finish line.
And now we have a lap car of Ricky Craven between Sterling Marlin and Kurt Busch. And Busch trying to get by, finally gets a run on the outside. And I think that Elliott Sadler, the 21, 9-car Bill Elliott, I think all those guys are going to go with him and put Craven behind them.
6 of the leaders did not stop on that caution. Sterling Marlin, Kurt Busch, Elliott Sadler, Bill Elliott, Rusty Wallace, and Mark Martin did not pit. The other lead lap cars did.
These guys felt like they could not afford to give up that track position. We've seen it all day long. It's so hard to pass the leader. Sterling Marlin feels like that these caution flag laps running around the racetrack at reduced speed has given them enough fuel to finish the race.
Elliott Sadler trying to get a push from Bill Elliott in 3rd spot.
And not too many guys have passed Sterling today.
No. A lot of cars involved in that big accident. Here's the list. That's the first part of the list. There are more. Bobby Labonte getting repairs made behind the wall. You see Kevin Harvick, Ricky Rudd. 18 cars now damaged in that wreck. Michael Waltrip trying to make his way back up. He's in 5th place. And he's just moved by Bill Elliott for 4th. So Michael's starting to rumble again. Haven't seen him up front in a while. Not contending for the lead anyway.
See Jeff Green there in the 30 car in 7th position. Haven't seen him too much today, but here he is with just a few laps to go. 40 to go, a chance to win the Daytona 500. Here comes Michael on the inside of Robert Presley.
Michael led from lap 4 to lap 23, has not been at the point since. He's not there yet either, but
he's getting there.
Certainly looks like he's rolling right. Elliott Sadler to block. Lap cars mixed in there.
Now the 3 wide going in the corners. Elliott goes by Ricky Craven on the outside.
Oh, he's Kurt Busch. For the lead. Kurt Busch with a look under Sterling Marlin. The 23-year-old from Las Vegas is going to lead the Daytona 500 at the stripe.
Clear high, clear all around. You're clear, clear, clear.
Yes, sir. Clear, clear, clear.
Isn't it just Jeff Gordon a little bit ago saying the wild man, talking about Kurt Busch?
Yeah, and there's no patience like we talked about. There's a guy that has a good race car, and you could see him the last couple laps, kept looking down and around and got Elliott Sadler to go with him.
Matt Yoakum.
Well, Al, if you recall back following the season finale at New Hampshire, the biggest shock in the offseason was when owner Jack Roush decided to swap the crews on the 6 and the 97. Veteran Jimmy Finnick came over to become the crew chief for Kurt Busch. He told me his biggest agenda for this year in the first 4 races was just to finish. Dig Kurt out of that huge 31st in car points that he got himself into last year. He's also trying to keep him calm. He was a little bit antsy earlier on. One thing, though, Mark Martin did not want this car, which was not completed when Jimmy was going to the 97, so Jimmy brought it with him. He says he's got a few things on there he was trying for this year. It's brand new, and they hope to make that debut, and auspicious want to take it to victory lane. Remember, this 97 team has never won a Winston Cup race.
We talked at the top of our broadcast on the pre-race show and a couple of other times during the day, youth versus experience. Kurt Busch in the 97 in his second 500 start. Elliott Sadler in the 21 in his fourth. And the defending 500 winner, Michael Waltrip, is working on him. Waltrip, bobbing and weaving. Got the nose to the outside of Sadler for second.
Watch that 15.
And Wally, you talked about at the very beginning of the show about give and take, and they would give and take early. Right now, there is no give. It's all take.
3 deep in the pack. tight racing.
These guys are trying to get everything they can out because they got to be in a position to win this race. You've got to be in that top 4 or 5 cars when it gets down to the end of this race. That's where everybody's trying to be right now.
Jeff Gordon in the middle, 3 wide, trying to work his way back to the front.
Jeff Burton there with him, 99 car. Here comes Mark Martin in the 6. Robby Gordon, the black and orange car. Almost squeezed up in front of Gordon where there wasn't room.
35 to go.
Dale Jarrett, 3 times a 500 winner. He's on the move late.
Now this is, we'll see what happens, BP, but I think this is where the experienced guys hook up. Guys like Jeff Gordon and Jarrett and Mark Martin, Sterling Marlin, they're used to running with each other. I think they'll start finding each other. On the other hand, the other guys will line up.
Jarrett trying to pick up a draft from behind. The 30 car is Jeff Green. Looking ahead from Robby Gordon's car.
Bump, bump. Goes up and bumps the back of the 30 car. But you want to do that when these cars are in a straight line. You can't afford to do it when they're going in the corners.
Look at this racing. 3 deep, 5 row. Go.
The patience went out the window a couple laps ago.
Oh, that's a thing of the past.
Dale Jarrett clearly to 3rd. Kurt Busch bobbing to try and break the draft on Michael Waltrip. Michael with the push from Jarrett.
Yeah, I think Kurt's about ready to get a move put on him because I think wherever Michael goes, Dale Jarrett's going to go with him.
Kurt Busch is getting set up, isn't he?
Yeah, I think he is.
You said it a minute ago, Wally. The older guys are going to work together. You've got Michael Waltrip and Dale Jarrett. Many years experience at this racetrack. Lined up behind Kurt Busch in his 2nd Daytona 500.
And you know Jeff Gordon's going to go where Michael goes, where Dale Jarrett goes, and where Elliott Sadler goes because he wants to get by that car of Kurt Busch as well.
He also wants to stay with the Chevys. That's something they've been talking about on the radio. Gordon definitely wants the Chevys to try and hook up together.
That would be Michael Waltrip in a Chevy, Gordon, and then behind them, Jeff Green and Robby Gordon. But even though it looks like Michael's setting up Kurt Busch, yet no pass for the lead. Here comes Elliott Sadler with a push from Jeff Gordon. Dale Jarrett getting shuffled back.
And Jarrett said, man, how did this happen? That was not part of the equation.
Mark Martin. Running 5th is Mark.
Here comes Sterling Marlin. He's trying to get a push by Jarrett from Jeff Green and Robby Gordon. And Jarrett loses a couple of more spots.
And they're trying to get by that 97 car BP, but just like you said, it's hard to pass.
Michael might have a run now coming off turn 4. Nope. I thought he had the nose under the 97 car. Couldn't quite make it.
Ooh, Rusty Wallace squeezing in front of Robby Gordon.
Oh, no, Rusty, careful now. We saw what happened when you blocked going down in turn 1.
I think that was Jeff Gordon's radio. Said they're racing like it's the last lap.
Hey, track position is everything. It may be the last lap if you can get front.
Now, Kurt Busch did not stop on that caution. Michael Waltrip has fresher tires. Much of a difference?
I always say tires make a difference. Especially as warm as it is today, I think it will make a difference. But still, it's all your buddies who's going to make the biggest difference on this deal. If you pull out, if they go with you.
Big traffic jam off turn 4.
You know, here's the worst part. It seems like it's you can pass back around 2nd or 3rd. It's the lead that's so hard to get by.
Boy, Michael's trying everything he can.
And here comes Sterling.
Oh, contact.
Jeff Green goes up, almost gets in the wall on the backstretch. As Kenny Schrader said, that's a stupid place to wreck in the middle of the backstretch.
Nice
the road's
save.
straight.
Nice save by Jeff Green. Jimmy Johnson, the pole sitter. Still on the lead lap, 12th spot.
Here's Jeffrey Bodine, the 09 car, right behind Jimmy Johnson.
Is Jimmy Johnson's car loose or what? Does he have a... Almost looks like he's got a tire going down.
Johnson hits Jeff Green. He's in the grass.
I think he had a tire going down there.
If he didn't, he does.
Keeps it off the wall.
Left rear's flat.
Left rear tire's flat.
Okay, bud.
Caution's out. 7th one of the Daytona 500. And sets a critical decision in the hands of the crew chiefs. Do I stop? Take those tires.
No way. No one is going to give up track position now. No one.
Some cars farther back, not on the lead lap, trying to race their way to the start-finish line. No one will succeed. And we go under the yellow flag once again.
Careful, Jimmy.
Something was loose before that. I just thought it was the air. Something's up on her back of this thing.
Yeah, Jimmy, the left rear tire's flat.
Yeah, you can watch here. I was watching right through here, right there on the bottom. You see his car just starts getting a little bit sideways. He was losing the left rear tire. And right about here, it really went, probably that's where it dropped down on the inner liner.
And is that Jeff Green that does a tremendous job in saving that car?
Yeah.
Oh, Johnson goes up and turns the Jeff Green car sideways, and somehow Jeff Green keeps it under control.
Nice save by Jeff. That was his second save in a lap, right?
Yeah. Yes. On board with Jimmy Johnson in Lowe's car. Listen.
Hang on, buddy.
No, don't worry. He's hanging on. You have to tell him that.
I did that. Let's go on board with Bill Elliott and watch this. Oh, right now Bill Elliott is saying that Jeff Green is the greatest race car driver in the world for saving that thing.
He didn't come up in front of him.
Might have just seen our move of the race. 2 of them from Jeff Green. Should have crashed twice. All right, will anybody come? BP says no. Wally says no.
No way.
Michael Waltrip. Michael Waltrip, the second place car, comes in.
Wow. Elliott Sadler comes in. Most of the cars came in, Marty.
Well, Michael Waltrip was tight, so they wanted 4 tires. Slugger Lavia's crew chief said, I think 4 tires will win the race. They'll take a round of Wedge out of the line. They were also going to put some tape on the grill because he's only running 200 degrees on the racetrack. This is a gamble because a lot of cars stayed out. Dave Burns.
The 21 car of Elliott Sadler came in. He had trouble when part of the valence on the front of the car, the air hose got caught on it coming around. He ripped it through, and he finally got out of here. But Elliott wanted tires. They did not change the cars. Matt?
Dave, Dale Jarrett already came in for service, and he's already heading back out of the racetrack. He felt like he had a tire going down. He said his car was very loose. He felt like he hit some debris. The crew did make a wedge adjustment on the 88 car.
Kurt Busch stayed out. Jeff Gordon stayed out. Sterling Marlin and Ryan Newman stayed out. Others coming on to pit road under the caution for down to turn 1. Here's our Pepsi race recap. What's happened so far in the Daytona 500? Just 2 laps in, one of the favorites to win, Tony Stewart. Engine broken, day done.
And then Dale Earnhardt loses the right front tire. He gets back on the racetrack, but is involved in a crash later.
This is Brett Bodine, lap 101, just at the halfway point of the race, getting tagged and spun. He gets away with it okay.
And then Shawna Robinson in 49 and Mike Skinner make contact off turn 2.
Big story of the day, Kevin Harvick and Jeff Gordon tangle racing for second. By the time it's done, 18 cars are involved in the melee down in turn 1. All the drivers okay, but it started because of blocking. Harvick trying to defend his turf on Gordon. They both wanted the same spot of racetrack. Cleanup continues here at Daytona. We'll come back for the restart in a minute. Back at Daytona, there'll be 24 laps to go as they come to the green with Kurt Busch, the 23-year-old from Las Vegas, leading the Daytona 500 in just his second try. First 4 on the track, and that left-hand lane did not stop for tires. How long will Kurt Busch be in the lead is the question. Jeff Gordon and Sterling Marlin are the two right behind him.
Now Jeff Gordon's laying back. He's trying to get him a run off that second corner with a push from Sterling Marlin. Oh, and Jarrett almost...
Robert Presley had the rear wheels off the ground, just like you talked about earlier. BP had it all over him.
That was Presley in the white car behind Ricky Craven, making some contact. Here comes Jeff Gordon trying to get by Craven. He's got to push from Sterling Marlin.
Kurt Busch to block. Gordon going to get shuffled by Marlin. No, that was the lap car of Craven. Jeff Burton sticks his nose in the middle, 3 wide.
And meanwhile, the lead, Jeff Gordon goes for the lead.
The veterans stick together. Shuffle Kurt Busch out of the top spot. Gordon takes the point. Robert Presley sticking his nose under Craven.
But he wisely backed off down in turn 1. There wasn't room. Kurt Busch has lost second spot. He's got in a battle right now with Ryan Newman for third.
He's only got the lap car of Ricky Craven behind him to push.
His only shot now is to get up there in between Mark Martin. He slides up and does it.
Ward Burton to 4th. Haven't talked about Ward much all day. Started 19th. He's run kind of mid-pack for a lot of the event. Missed the wreck. That helped. Now, in the 125-mile qualifying race that Jeff Gordon was in on Thursday, he got the lead on the first lap. No one could pass him. He spent a lot of the first 3 quarters of this race struggling with an ill-handling car. He's out in front now. Is it going to be enough? Mark Martin there. Last car in that 5-car breakaway. Never won here at Daytona. Mark started in 39th place today. Good race for 6th. There it is. Elliott Sadler, 21. Kurt Busch, 97. Look at Michael Waltrip in the 15, pinned way back in this traffic. He was second before coming onto pit road.
And Kurt Busch is one dejected little puppy right now.
Well, Michael went up the middle and gained a spot on Robby Gordon there between turn 1 and 2. He's still in the middle.
Trying to force his way to the...
But Dale Jarrett said, that's my spot. Here comes Rusty Wallace on the inside of Kurt Busch.
There are 50 miles to go in the 44th running of the Daytona 500, the Great American Race. $12 million on the line.
Oh my goodness, Robby Gordon had a great run and tried to drive on the inside of Rusty Wallace. Wisely, once again, backed off on board with Robby Gordon.
Finally, Michael squeezed down there. Boy, I guarantee you, he was frustrated those couple laps. He's got a good car, stuck in the middle. You need to get in that high line or low line. And he wants to go.
Better hurry. 20 laps, not a lot of time to catch that lead group. Just tuning in, it's been a very exciting race so far. 18 lead changes among 11 drivers. Caution flag has waved on 7 different occasions. The big story was a multi-car wreck involving 18 different drivers at the 3/4 mark of this event. Jeff Gordon out in front, trying to win the 500 for a 3rd time. Sterling Marlin right behind him in the 40 car. Ditto, trying to win the Great American Race for a 3rd time. Behind him, they are frantically scrambling to catch.
Got to stay in line if they're going to catch that lead group, BP. Guys are all scattered out side by side, and that's exactly what those top 5 cars want to see in their mirror.
These guys are all trying to get themselves in position, but trying to get themselves in position, they get farther away from the leader.
Let's check with some of the crew chiefs in the lead cars. Here's Bill Weber.
With crew chief Robbie Loomis, the leader for Jeff Gordon. Your car's been tight all day. Now you're out.
Well, you know, just Jeff's a great drafter, and he's up front right where he wants to be. We've got a long way to go. We just got to see what happens here.
Did you learn enough in the qualifying race to help you in this situation, Robbie?
We learned a lot, and right now we're just all kind of holding our breath. Pit crew's done a great job all day getting him out front there. See what happens.
For defending Winston Cup champions, they'd like to start 2002 with a win in the Daytona 500. To Matt Yoakum.
Bill, Lee McCall is Sterling Marlin's crew chief. First off, you didn't pit to take on fresh tires. How bad is that going to hurt, or is your car better on older tires?
Yeah, our car's pretty good right now. We were a little bit better on old tires, got the car freed up, so you know, we were good on fuel mileage, so we wanted to stay out and hopefully you know, gain some track position, because you know, track position's pretty tough right now, and you know, we're wanting to set pat right now and try to break away from the second group. Coors Light Dodge's been good all day.
Liam McCall trying to win his first 500. Sterling Marlin, his 3rd. Marty?
Matt, how much will experience mean? Young Ryan Newman up front as crew chief Matt Borland. Matt, he's gotten there. Can he pass 2 more cars?
I don't know about that yet, but we're real happy with where we're sitting right now. A top 5 would be great for us. If we got something for him at the end, we'll try it, but we'll just ride for right now, hopefully.
Inexperience behind the wheel, but on the radio, experience. Former Daytona 500 winner Buddy Baker is his spotter, along with his car owner, Roger Penske. Today, Burns.
Ben Leslie, the new crew chief for Mark Martin, has been studying his monitor like a chessboard. All right, you gave him 2 right side tires. Does he have a move he can make?
Boy, you know, I don't know. The talent that Mark has, I'm sure he's got something up his sleeve. What it is, I wouldn't have a clue. I'd just like to take the time to thank all the hard work that everybody at Roush Racing, Viagra, Ford, Taurus has done. This week and a half has been a little bit of a struggle, and everybody's pulled together. And hopefully we can come out of this with a real good run.
Well, they're going to watch, and about all they can do is wait. The only thing he's told him in the last few laps on the radio, what lap he's on. Alan?
Ward Burton, also in the top 5, running 4th. Bill Davis Racing, Dodge. He's been in contention to win this race on several occasions, but bad luck has befallen him near the finish every time. What about today?
Elliott Sadler trying to make a move on Mark Martin. He's trying to follow that 22 car. And Ward Burton's getting the move on Ryan Newman.
Coming with you.
He gets the push. That car goes alongside Ryan Newman. Oh, man.
3rd place.
Oh, the Mark Martin car goes way up the hill. Looks like he got in the corner and the car got loose or something. Had to go up the hill to catch it.
That gives Newman an opening to slide up in front of Mark in that outside lane. Get some drafting help from behind. Somebody who made the gamble to come on to pit road under that last caution was Michael Waltrip. This has not worked out for him. He's all the way back in 14th place. How about Ward Burton, Matt?
Well, I'll tell you what, Alan, if you watch Tommy Baldwin Jr. down here, each lap it's like he's almost driving the car with Ward, very animated on top of the pit box. I asked him about 60 laps ago when he's running mid-pack, are you guys okay? Because they were anticipating a very stout piece for this race. He says, oh yeah, we learned our lesson last year. We led 53 laps and we were crashed out running 4th, so we knew just to save our stuff until the end, because that's when all the big money takes place.
Look at Jeffrey Bodine in the 09 car. the 1986 winner of the 500, who many thought's career ended in a vicious crash here at Daytona back in 2000. Only got 5 races this season that he's going to run in this car, but he has shown he can still get the job done.
This car is owned by James Finch, and after the Budweiser shootout, they dyno tested, chassis dyno tested a lot of the cars, and James said, hey, how about putting my car on there? I want to see what I have. And the 09 car had more power than any of them.
Bodine to 5th. Here comes Michael Waltrip trying to get back into it.
So Michael's got to make this move. Like, he's trying everything he can to make his move now. He needs to get with that top group if he's going to have a shot at winning this race again.
Rusty Wallace drives on the inside of the 97 of Kurt Busch, gets a great run.
That's Michael Waltrip.
I'm sorry, Michael
Yep.
Waltrip. That Napa thing looks like the Miller Lite thing to me every time I see it. Sorry.
Defending 500 winner, trying to rally back. Got a lot of work to do and not a lot of time to do it. Robby Gordon behind him in the Richard Childress 31.
That lead group is starting to stretch it out. Dale Jarrett's pushing as hard as he can on that gas pedal right now. 6 car in line right there.
10 to go when they come back around.
Now, like I said earlier, BP, what do you think? They're going to have to start trying to make moves here with at least 4 to go, don't you?
Oh, yeah, they can't wait till the last lap because Jeff Gordon is going to make that DuPont Chevy very, very wide on that last lap. And the last time by, Jeff Gordon ran a speed actually faster than the pole speed. He ran 100, he ran a 40.41. The pole position was 48.43 seconds.
Now, here you got the guys making deals. Sterling Marlin, I'm sure, is trying to find out what Ward Burton wants to do. And if Ward Burton will go with Sterling, if he pulls out and makes the move on Jeff Gordon, and so on back and so on back. Everybody's trying to figure out right now who's going to go with who. Crew chiefs are talking to other crew chiefs, and spotters are talking to other spotters, and drivers are talking to their spotters and saying, hey, go over to this spotter of that 22 car Ward Burton, see if he'll go with me if I pull out.
Trouble, Robby Gordon. Caution is out. Gordon was 10th last lap. Here comes Jeff Gordon. Back to the caution flag.
Now we will have a single file restart too.
And we'll have a restart inside the final 10 laps.
And that's what Jeff Gordon did not want to see. Remember, in 2000, Johnny Benson was leading this race. No one could get by him. Caution flag came out with about 8 laps to go, and Jarrett passed him with 4 or 5 laps to go to win the Daytona 500. Jeff Gordon is saying, Robby Gordon, why did you have to crash and bring out the caution flag?
Jeff and Robby, of course, not related.
You can tell that by New Hampshire race last year.
And they were the ones that were fighting it out with fenders at the end of the last race of 2001. Now, nobody.
Nobody's coming. Boy, they blew it. We blew it on that last time. Looks like, you remember I talked about earlier, when the cars get real close to each other in the banking, it makes the car on the bottom loose. And I think that's what happened to Robby Gordon, PP. He got up there beside Rusty Wallace. There was not enough air on the back of that car to push the car into the racetrack, lost downforce, and looped it.
Watch this. He goes in the corner. Rusty Wallace is on the outside. And listen to this. Listen to the engine.
Robby just spun. Robby just spun. Hang on, gas it. He just backed in a wall there. He just spun. 10-2. You all right, bud?
On board Bill Elliott.
Oh, man, that was so close.
That was close.
Experience.
Look.
Oh.
And having your eyes closed.
Now Kurt Busch is coming down pit road.
97 car is in.
I guess they decided at 4 tires that they're going to need 4 tires to try to make a run to the front.
Go ahead, Sean. No, Sean, you got a helmet?
Matt?
And they are going to take on 4 fresh tires. Remember back in the Pepsi 400, back in the mid-'80s, Alan, Bobby Allison pulled the same move late in the going. With about 10 laps to go, came in for fresh tires and won the thing. And Jimmy Finnick, who won this event with Bobby Allison, remembers that. So they had nothing to lose. Alan?
We'll find out where he restarts and gets set for what should be a dramatic finish to the Daytona 500 when we come back on NBC. The Daytona 500, the great American race, has come down to what will be a final, frantic 6-lap sprint to the checkered flag. Jeff Gordon leads. Sterling Marlin is second, both 2-time Daytona 500 winners, but they've got a hungry pack behind them who've never won it before. Ward Burton and Elliott Sadler in 3rd and 4th. Then more experience. The 86 winner, Jeff Bodine, in 5th, and Dale Jarrett, a 3-time 500 champion, in 6th.
And this restart is going to be the whole marbles here. Jeff Gordon's got to be careful that Sterling Marlin doesn't lay back and get a run on him on the back straightaway.
You ready? Green flag, green flag.
If they don't get by Jeff Gordon before they come around the next time, they will not pass it. And Michael
Waltrip. Jeff Green is involved.
Jeff Gordon spinning down the inside.
Gordon is in the grass. They're racing for the lead at the head of the pack, double wide.
Stay below the white line. You got some people out there. There you go.
Sterling Marlin, he's got damage. He must have hit Gordon.
And here comes Ward Burton on the outside. He's got a run.
Track's clear.
With Elliott Sadler giving him some help. Here's Jeffrey Bodine trying to help the 40 car.
Caution flag is out. This could be the race to the finish of the Daytona 500.
You'll see some rubbing here, I'm sure, getting back to the line. This may be it.
6 cars sprinting toward the caution flag. Marlin inside, seeking his 3rd 500 win. Ward Burton trying to get his first victory. 2 dodges, drag racing back to the caution flag. Who's going to get there first? Marlin by a nose.
I think what happened was Sterling Marlin went down to go underneath Jeff Gordon. Jeff Gordon went to put the block on, and he went across the nose of Sterling Marlin's car, and that's what spun him out.
The race is not over. They're going to red flag the event. They're going to stop the field, restart the race, and try and settle it.
Labonte, a lot of damage to the nose of that car. And with Sterling, can he last a couple laps under the green?
And I believe that's where Jeff Gordon came across the nose of Sterling's car.
Jeff Gordon on pit road. He may not be out of this yet if they're red flagging this thing, Bill.
Jeff Gordon on pit road. The spotter said we got spun. The car looks fine. He's getting right side tires. This is supposed to be a 4-tire stop. They want to get on pit road and get off of it before the red flag comes out. Left sides will go on. We'll have plenty of room to get out of pit road. They tighten the lugs, check the roof flaps, pull the fender away from the front left tire, and send Gordon back out off of pit road.
But he came in while the pit road was closed. So he's going to have to go to the end of the line on the restart. We'll double check that to be sure, but the red flag with the gold cross signaling pit road is closed is out.
Now there's only about
there it is.
14 cars that'll lead that. The red flag's coming out.
Hey, Jeff, they're stopped back there, so be careful coming off too.
The red flag is out over the Daytona 500 with 4.5 laps to go.
But who did all this crashing on the backstretch off turn 2? See the debris off turn 2?
I think that was pieces still probably coming off the cars from the wreck on
the wreck on the front stretch. I got you.
Wow.
That may even.
Fault. I mean, Sterling hung back so much there that I mean, you know, I didn't have a choice but to slow down there, and he had a run on me, and I blocked him. You know, got myself turned.
Got myself turned.
Yep. Jeff Gordon's explanation. Let's take a look at what happened all over the place.
Well, here's what we're talking about. This is so key on this restart. Sterling was laying back. Now, all these guys back here are jamming up because some of these guys laid back before the restart.
Michael Waltrip hit Mark Martin.
Rusty Wallace is involved.
Watch Waltrip almost go by the pace car here. Yikes. And Robert Presley's car being pushed on pit road.
Man, pace car gassed it right there at the last second.
One more look. We see him, Jeff Gordon, bringing them down really, really slow. And then Mark Martin runs in the back of Michael Waltrip. And
now watch here, Sterling Marlin goes underneath of Jeff. Jeff goes down, tries to run the black block on Sterling, and runs across the nose.
But Marlin was below that yellow line, wasn't he? That's out of bounds. Drivers were told in the drivers' meeting, if you go below that yellow line and advance your position, you're going to be penalized.
That's right.
Will they penalize Sterling Marlin there?
There's Jeff Green.
What a mess.
On board with Bill Elliott. That's 2 wrecks he just has driven right by.
Good job.
Okay, go ahead, Alan.
Now watch the yellow line on the... No, you won't see it. Well, yeah, we will.
He was down there.
Jeff does a pretty good job down on the grass.
You got some people out there.
All right, now watch the yellow line at the bottom of the track. See if Sterling Marlin goes below that yellow line.
This line here.
If you go below the yellow line and advance your position, that's a penalty.
Marlin's inside of Gordon. There's the contact.
Well, I don't know. He definitely had the left sides below the yellow line. Now, whether or not he didn't, I don't think the right sides, the whole car was ever below the yellow line, but he definitely had the left sides. That's a tough call by NASCAR. It's a judgment call and a very tough call.
One more look. Jeff Burton got a piece of it. Terry Labonte, Rusty Wallace, and Bill Elliott.
And there you see the 40 car with the left sides below the yellow line. But the NASCAR officials are seeing the same pictures we are, so they'll make a decision.
And we'll wait to see what that decision is.
I think another problem he's got is that right rear, or that right front tire is rubbing pretty hard on that fender, so it may not make a difference.
That's John Darby, the guy in the blue shirt. He's the new Winston Cup director.
And the man in the blue sport coat right on the screen with the dark glasses is David Hoots. He is the race director. He's the referee, basically. His call, ball or strike.
Uh-oh.
Uh-oh.
Well, I'm sure he's checked. He may have been wondering how that right front damage looks.
The car, Sterling Marlin is jumping out of his car. He's going around to look at the right front fender. But, oh, he can't do that.
You can't work on your car under the red flag. That's the NASCAR rule.
Pull it off a little bit.
You're not allowed to work on your car under the red flag. Matt?
Well, Alan, down here in the 40 pit, Lee McCall, the biggest concern is that right front fender. How is it?
Well, we don't know. We don't know yet. We think it's rubbing a little bit, but we'll just have to see when Sterling comes around, and hopefully it's okay. You know, I don't know what happened out there, but it's just been an awesome day for the Coors Light race team and everybody that at Chip Ganassi Racing. All the guys back at the shop give us a great car, and guys had great pit stops today. So every how it comes out, we had a good speed week.
Sterling looked at it. What did he say?
They wouldn't let him look at it, so I don't know. I don't know how bad it is. We just have to. Let's see. Is it? We might have to come in. We don't know yet.
Hey, Matt,
Benny.
Tell Lee that they wouldn't let him pull it out. They let him look at it. They wouldn't let him pull it out.
Lee, they let him look at it, but they wouldn't let him pull it out because you know that's against the rules under red flag condition.
Yeah, I guess.
Good answer.
I don't know. You know, again, it's just been a great day for the whole organization. Hopefully he can get it out enough.
Hopefully he can get it out. But again, you're not allowed to work on the car during a red flag condition.
That's right.
So, couple of things to hear from NASCAR on. Sterling Marlin below the line.
Watch Sterling jump out of the car here.
And is he working on his car under the red flag?
That looked like a pull to me. I don't know about you.
See the official jump out of the pace car saying, hey,
you can't
no,
do that.
No. Get back in there. Well, we have seen our share of twists and turns over the years in the Daytona 500, but this one just may top them all. I mean, we've had all kinds of things happen here in this last hour of the race.
We see the 33 car up there, Mike Wallace. He told me, Andy Petrie told him, Mike, if you finish in the top 5 in the Daytona 500, we'll go to Rockingham next week. Doesn't look like the 33 is going to go to the Rockingham race.
Here's another look. Marlin, left side tires below the yellow line.
You see the yellow line and you see the cars there.
The only judgment is that NASCAR has to make here is because he's clearly below the line. Did he advance his position by going down there? Or did he come back up behind Gordon on the track? That's the call.
Well, I mean, you're not supposed to be below the yellow line, and Jeff wasn't below the yellow line and got spun out.
And the other one is he clearly was pulling on that fender on the backstretch. Clearly.
Boy, John, this is a tough. I would see Mike Helton there, the president of NASCAR, on the phone talking to someone.
That's Mike just on the left of the screen. I hear Jeopardy music playing somewhere. The referees in race control.
Talk about getting thrown in the fire, huh, John Darby?
Man, oh man, the first race, and look at how tough, what a tough calls he's got to make.
Another look at it from Jeff Gordon's onboard camera.
There we see the contact, and now we see Sterling clearly below the yellow line, but the right sides never go all the way below.
But see, what might get him off the hook, he's behind him here. He advances his position after Gordon spins. I mean, that might be what they're thinking.
There you go. And there you see the contact.
Well, I don't imagine they're too happy in Jeff Gordon's pit.
That's not Bill. What are they saying down there?
Well, let's find out. Robbie Loomis has been on the radio talking to Jeff. He's also been, you've been doing a little lobbying here. First of all, I know you're disappointed about what happened. It looked like you were talking A, about Sterling's position on the restart, and then B, his appearance out of the car on the backstretch, Rob.
Yeah, the restrictor plate racing, you know, it's real important that you lay back on the start like they did to get a good run. That's what caused the big wreck back here behind him. And then when he kind of eased below the line there to turn us, and then he got out to fix it on the back straightaway under red. But we'll let NASCAR deal with it. They usually are pretty fair. You know, the rule is you can't work on your car at all under red, and we'll see what they say.
So you made your point to the NASCAR official working your pit. What did you see on the monitor, Robbie?
All I saw on the monitor was him trying to get his fender clear and, you know, where the thing will clear. But we'll leave it up to NASCAR. They've been doing a good job with it. We'll see what they decide.
Okay, that's the story from the 24 pit. Matt?
Well, down here in the 40 pit, Tommy Baldwin Jr., Ward Burton's crew chief from the 22 team, came down and talked to Tony Glover, the team manager. He says, look, God forbid anything should happen to your tire, tell him to pull left out of traffic and we'll go by on the high side. So if you should have some kind of trouble with that tire, if it indeed rubs and does start to go down, pull to the left and we'll go by on the right side.
That's not going to work, Matt, because if that tire goes down, the car on its own is going to the right.
I'm just looking over there. BP, look over there. Just, I know there's a judgment call over there. We don't see any French judges in there, do we?
I don't see any place.
We'll be okay then.
Should be okay.
All right, the officials are talking about it, trying to figure out what they're going to do. We're waiting to hear. Was Sterling Marlin out of bounds and advance his position? Did he work on his car under the red flag? What's it going to be?
Well, I think we all saw him pull the fender out.
That's pretty obvious, Al.
Yeah, we all saw that, so we know he tried to pull the fender away from the tire. Now, the yellow line situation down in turn one, that is a judgment call, and that's up to NASCAR.
Continuing to clean up on the front side of the racetrack here, where all the mayhem happened.
Was I sleeping, or did you explain what that penalty was on if you work under the red flag? What is the rule?
I'm waiting to hear what the penalty would be there. What do you do to him?
But I know guys must have worked on the cars on the red before. Whatever happened to them?
They were always sneaky when they did it before.
Oh, okay.
They were not as clear. I mean, it was not as blatant as Sterling Marlin was. They always kind of sneaked around a little bit.
Somebody must have gotten in trouble for it. Someday.
You know, I don't recall it.
Ever?
In my time on the Winston Cup circuit, I don't ever recall it. Someone being penalized for working on their car under the red flag. So I have no memory of that ever happening before.
And I just have no memory.
I've got in my hand a card that they give out to all the crew chiefs and all of the pit road officials, which explains race procedure penalties. And I'm trying to scan down it. I don't see anything on this particular card about the working on the car under the red flag. So we'll follow up with NASCAR here and find out. We're waiting to hear. Separate from that, it's going to be a most interesting finish.
Sterling Marlin's got the same problem that Jeff Gordon had. He's the leader. Now they're all going to be laying back, trying to get a run on him.
If that tire holds up and if he doesn't get penalized, you got Ward Burton, Jeffrey Bodine, Elliott Sadler, Dale Jarrett all up there. And you're going to have Jeff Gordon storming from the back of the pack on fresh tires. And he's only going to have about 3 laps to do it.
Got Michael Waltrip back in 11th position as well.
Here's what they were saying down in the Sterling Marlin pits a minute ago.
Sterling, were you below the yellow line when you passed Gordon? He run me down there. My left side was below it, I believe. He run me down below it.
Team owner Chip Ganassi there.
And that was honest. I mean, that's exactly what happened. He had his left side below the yellow line when Jeff Gordon tried
race at the tail end of the longest line, Glove.
All right, they just made the call.
The longest line or lead lap? The tail end of the longest line. About what I asked an official.
That is the message being relayed to Sterling Marlin from his team.
For what?
There is only one line. Under 10 laps to go, there's only one line. So they're saying that he's got to start all the way at the back of the field. Is that right, Wally?
Yep. And what NASCAR's determination on this deal with the yellow line is, since the yellow had dropped, they say that what was happening was the 40 car went down underneath the yellow line to avoid the accident. He was not gaining any positions.
Okay.
He went down under the yellow line to avoid the accident?
He went down to the yellow line. When the yellow was out, Jeff had checked up. Everybody was slowing down, and they decided that the 40 car went down underneath Jeff's car. The yellow was already out at this point now, so he couldn't advance his position anyway.
He could race him back to the yellow.
They could race him back to the line. They had taken the green flag. They could race him back to the line.
So, well,
they decided that as the wreck was happening at the start-finish line, the 40 car went down. Jeff was down there. He was avoiding Jeff, and there's one shot. Actually, you can see when Jeff was coming down, he was coming back up the track, and Sterling came back up the track, but that's what they called.
And let's make clear, you just walked over to NASCAR Race Control to ask that, and that's the answer you got.
Right. So why is he going? Is he going to the end of the longest line, Sterling Marlin?
He's going to the end of the longest line, but it would be for working on the car
during the red.
Under the red flag.
Right.
Okay.
Correct.
So no penalty for going below the line, but the penalty to the end of the longest line is for working on the car under the red.
Right. Exactly. Not the yellow line is not an issue.
Okay.
It's for working on the car during the red.
And he goes to the end of the longest line. So therefore, he'll come in, they'll work on the car, knock the fender out, change 4 tires.
4 tires and go.
Agree with those decisions?
It doesn't matter either way. Whether you get penalized for going below the yellow line or working on the car, you're going to get penalized for one of those. So I don't know what's the difference.
It's fair enough. I mean, what are they going to do? Make him go the end of the longest line twice? They can't do that. I mean, so it's fair enough, the penalty. Here's the situation. The green flag is in the air. See the green flag waving? Now, Sterling Marlin is trying to get by. He clearly has the left side below the yellow line. Jeff Gordon goes down to try to block him.
Okay, now is the yellow waving right here yet?
Not yet.
Nope.
Now it is.
Okay, now the yellow flag starts waving.
The wreck, you know, the wreck was happening a long time in that picture, but I couldn't see the flag.
I don't see where that's an issue anyway.
But it doesn't matter.
Well, it's clear that the penalty on the backstretch for working on the car under the red, that was very clear, very obvious.
Right.
And he's been penalized for that.
And that's penalty enough. Yes, for the whole deal. That's once again, here's Sterling Marlin getting out of his car, going over. The right front fender is rubbing the tire. He grabs hold of the fender, trying to get it away from the tire because he doesn't want to stop. That is an infraction under NASCAR rules. You're not allowed to do anything to your vehicle on the red flag conditions.
How about Jeff Gordon in this deal? He get robbed in this?
No. I mean, they made contact on the racetrack.
And you heard Gordon say
that he spun himself
took
out.
himself out.
He blocked. So he's got to go to the back of the line. Marlin's got to go to the back of the line. And Ward Burton's going to find himself leading the Daytona 500 when we go back green with about 3 laps to go.
Look at all those wrecked cars. Looks like Martinsville out there.
Coming up after the Daytona 500 on NBC, it's the NBA with the defending champion Lakers, Portland Trailblazers. That's after our Daytona coverage here on NBC. Then later tonight at 7 Eastern Time, our coverage of the Winter Olympic Games continues from Salt Lake City, including the presentation of the gold medal to the Canadian figure skating pair that was involved in all the judging controversy earlier this week.
I'd just like to say one more thing. Sterling was probably going to have to come in anyway, because that fender was rubbing on that tire hard. There's no way that thing was going to take another 4 laps.
I agree. He probably was going to have to come in. And you know, was it penalty enough? I mean, he can't win the Daytona 500 now. That's the biggest penalty of all.
I'm going to tell you what, after what's happened over the last hour or so, I'm not going to make that statement with you, BP.
Yeah.
I wouldn't be surprised if anybody that's still on the track ends up winning this thing. I mean, look at all the people who've fallen by the wayside all day long. Started on lap 2. Tony Stewart, one of the favorites to win, gone. Engine failure. Dale Earnhardt Jr., cut tire lap 23, another favorite to win, gone.
It's going to be a heck of a 3 or 4 laps.
Sorry, Walt, just still waiting while they clean up the racetrack before they pull the red flag. It looks like they're just about done. They had some of the jet blowers out on the track, taking all the oil dry and the bits of metal and things like that down to the inside of the speedway. And in fact, the word has just gone out to crank the cars up, fire the engines out on the back straightaway.
We got 4 guys in the top 7 right now that have not won the Daytona 500.
Ward Burton, Elliott Sadler,
Mark
Martin, Ryan Newman. And the experienced guys, Jeffrey Bodine, Dale Jarrett, Bill Elliott, have a Daytona 500 trophy. Red flag is withdrawn. Yellow flag is now back out. Now you can work on your race car.
But you heard, when we heard the restart just a moment ago, and Jeff Gordon was accelerating, trying to get his car up to speed, did you hear the big drop in RPMs when he shifted from 2nd gear to 3rd gear? See, that's one problem with the transmissions at Daytona. You have to have such a low 1st gear to get you out of the pits. So then 2nd gear becomes too much. You can't have the ratios close enough, and you always have a big drop off in RPM between one of the gears. In his case, it was between 2nd and 3rd, and he lost all that momentum when he went to 3rd gear.
So they're moving now back around toward the front stretch. They'll get the 1 to go signal when they come to the start-finish line, and it will be a 3-lap race to see who wins the Daytona 500. 14 cars on the lead lap. Hey, BP.
There you go.
How'd you do that?
Well,
you led the right ones.
The last 4, that's right.
David Pearson was leading and spun out, right?
That's right, with 4 laps to go.
Derek Cope, 1990. Dale Earnhardt led by about a mile. Cut a tire down. Cope went on to the victory. I'll tell you who may turn around and be the absolute story of this day, Jeffrey Bodine. He's going to be running 2nd after the penalty to Sterling Marlin. Let's hear from his team.
Johnny Allen is his crew chief, and Johnny, you know, Benny Parsons said earlier, you guys have one of the strongest motors after that dyno test the other day. Can Jeffrey get some help and get around everybody?
I don't know. There's a lot of conspiring and deal making going on behind this But I seen the deal the other day, and they said that there's no deals, just discussions, and we hoping to go good here at the end. We got 1 lap to go before we go green, and we'll see what we got left. Mitsubishi Indian cars running good.
Remember yesterday, Johnny was working on the 1 car of Jimmy Spencer, and it failed at the end. And car owner James Finch, he's gone back to his boat. He's left. If they win, he won't be in victory lane. James, you might want to come back. Marty?
Well, Dave, what an interesting day, and if he does win the race, Jeffrey Bodine, he's got to pass Tommy Baldwin's driver out there, Ward Burton. What a crazy day. Can Ward keep it up front? A lot of Fords behind your Dodge.
Yeah, I was just telling Ward that, you know, but I'm real proud of everybody at this Caterpillar Dodge back at the shop. They've done an awesome job. They put this car where it is right now, and, you know, had a lot of Fords run up front today. You know, they got a good break with NASCAR, but hopefully we'll come out top. You know, we're real excited right now, and it's time to let it eat. Every man for himself now.
Hey guys, you think we've seen a lot of blocking in the first 195 laps? Watch these last few.
It's going to be wild. 3 laps to decide the Daytona 500. Ward Burton leads. Jeffrey Bodine is second. Elliott Sadler third. Dale Jarrett fourth. And Ryan Newman is fifth. You'll have also in the mix, Mark Martin is fifth. Ryan Newman is sixth. And you'll have Jeff Gordon and Sterling Marlin back in 11th and 12th. Here's what Jeff Gordon said right after the crash.
Oh, that was my own fault. I mean, Sterling hung back so much there that, I mean, you know, I didn't have a choice but to slow down there, and he had a run on me, and I blocked him. You know, got myself turned.
There you have it. We are coming to the green. Look at how far back from the pace car Ward Burton is hanging.
And look how far Elliott Sadler is hanging behind Jeffrey Bodine, all trying to time it right to get that run, that great run that allowed them to go by.
3 laps to settle the Daytona 500.
Well, it looks like they got a run on them.
Look at the blocking going on back in the pack.
And look, somebody's got a great run on the outside.
Ryan Newman, the youngster from Indiana in the 12 car.
And this is exactly what Ward Burton needed. He needed those Fords to get side by side, and it's working to perfection for him.
Johnny Benson in the 10 car up high, try to follow Newman. Jeff Gordon and Marlin not in the picture yet.
He's got to be careful though, BP, when this group catches him.
Here comes Dale Jarrett up behind Jeffrey Bodine in the 88 car.
And Elliott Sadler's moved into that second spot, right on the back bumper of Ward Burton.
The first 2 have never won the 500. The second 2 have won it 4 times between them. 2 laps to go as they come to the start-finish line. Marlin has caught the pack. Jeff Gordon is back from it. Check that, that's Craven. Gordon has caught the pack too.
I think Ward Burton has his car up to speed now. I think he's going to be okay.
I think you're right, BP. These guys aren't close enough and lined up enough to make a move on Ward Burton.
Should Spotter tell him where to go to block those guys?
The traffic mixing and shuffling behind him. But Sadler and Jeff Bodine not able to mount a charge yet. Everyone on their feet at Daytona, some 170,000. As South Boston, Virginia's Ward Burton comes to the line. White flag, final lap. Here comes Dale Jarrett looking outside for third. Can't get it done. Whoa! He bounces off Mark Martin. Jarrett is crashing in the final lap. Everybody gets by him okay. Elliott Sadler in the 21, the Wood Brothers car. Left to try and chase Ward Burton to the checkered flag.
And if Elliott Sadler was shaking, finishing third in the Pepsi 400, just imagine what that young man is going through now, about to finish second in the Daytona 500.
About ready to faint.
I'm telling you.
8th 2 times is his best previous finish in the 500. Now in his 8th try at the Great American Race, it's going to be Ward Burton driving his Dodge to victory lane. Checkered flag is up, and Ward Burton is going to win the 44th Daytona 500. Bill Davis Racing and Ward Burton have just won the Great American Race. Good for Ward.
Talking to Ward Burton, said, what's been your biggest thrill in racing? He said, winning the Southern 500 in Darlington, South Carolina. Old race, my family was there. I guarantee you, he'll change his tune now.
Oh boy, are you kidding? Not anymore. This is it.
The last time Dodge won the Daytona 500, 1974, with Richard Petty. Ward Burton never led all day until those final laps when he took the lead from Sterling Marlin. Matt?
And Tommy Baldwin and the cat guy's going crazy down here. Tommy, you moved south in 1996, sacrificed everything in an old Cadillac, you had no job, and now look, Daytona 500 winner. Does this reality match that dream, Tommy? You told me you dreamed of this win.
Oh, man, I tell you, this is for my little boy back home on Long Island who's stuck this out without me being around for some years, and hope he's proud of me today. And, you know, everyone at Caterpillar and the Dodge, I want to thank everybody, all the BDR guys, man. We won the Daytona 500.
Enough said. The cat guys are going to celebrate tonight.
Bill Davis, the team owner from Arkansas, what respected and well-liked man in the NASCAR Winston Cup garage.
Bill Davis, Gail Davis, one of the nicest people in the garage area.
And he's going to have a Daytona 500 trophy on the mantle. I talked with Ward Burton earlier this week. Said he'd spent so much time this winter crisscrossing America on fundraising trips. Spokesman for the Wildlife Foundation, among other things. He said, I'm ready to go racing. I think I can win the Daytona 500. He's done it. BP, what's that ride like?
Oh, man. There's no words to describe it. As a matter of fact, Ward Burton right now probably has to take this lap, this extra 4 or 5 minutes, just to get some kind of control over his emotions. All the firemen come out congratulating Ward Burton. This is a very, very emotional moment.
Ward, the oldest of the two Burton brothers on the Winston Cup circuit. Started this race in 19th place, and as I said a minute ago, never led all day until those final few laps. When Sterling Marlin went to pit road, Ward Burton took over the lead and held it to the checkered flag. There's Bill Davis.
Nice, good-looking man right there.
Attaboy, Bill.
Okay, Ward, I think you can probably come to the victory lane and talk to these folks now.
Elliott Sadler finished second, Jeff Bodine third, Kurt Busch fourth, Michael Waltrip came through that last shuffle to finish fifth, Jeff Gordon wound up ninth, Sterling Marlin eighth, and Dale Jarrett did not finish the last lap. He wound up 14th.
You see those NASCAR officials going checking the rear spoiler on the back of the Caterpillar Dodge. They have a minimum height requirement or angle, supposed to be about 55 degrees, and obviously he has passed. Let's go to Marty Snyder.
Okay, Jeff, let's first of all start off talking about the contact out there on the racetrack with you and Sterling. You said on the radio, was it your fault? You have time to think about it under the red flag, and your thoughts now?
Yeah, I mean, me being spun was my fault because he hung back so far, which I didn't think he was supposed to be able to do, but he did, and he had me. You know, he got a restart, he had me, and I moved down in front of him to block him, and I did, and got me a little bit of a push, but he still got inside me, and yeah, I just tried to block him, and all I had to do was just hold the wheel straight and spun me out, but you know, I probably should have just given it up once he got inside me and still had a battle and a shot to win the thing. You know, I had to see that last caution. We were, man, we were so stout and in perfect position, and it was a wild and crazy race out there. I'll tell you, I went from the back to the front to the back. It was incredible. I'm just thankful to come home ninth with the DuPont Chevrolet. I want to thank DuPont, Pepsi, Quaker State Fritos, GMAC. You know, it's just a great effort for us today, and you know, it just wasn't the way we wanted it to be.
A very disappointing night for a man who drove a very good race. Matt?
Well, Sterling, first off, can you even begin to describe your side of the controversy?
No, I mean, it's a Daytona 500, and you're going to try to win the thing, and you know, laid back, try to get a run on Jeff, and you know, as soon as he got across the line, hooked left, and got up his quarter panel, and you know, his deal is he's going to try to block. And if I was in his shoes, I'd try to block too, and we just hooked together, hooked bumpers, and he spun out, and I went on and got my fender on the tire. So, we tried to get it pulled off, but NASCAR didn't like it. Let's go to the rear.
Did you question that? I mean, them questioning you, messing with the fence?
Well, I seen Earnhardt doing it at Richmond one time, so I cleaned his windshield off, so I thought it was okay. I don't guess it was.
I guess not. Sterling Marlin nearly win here in Daytona, Alan. Disappointed.
At least he could smile about losing the Daytona 500.
Man. Ward Burton will add his name to the Harley J. Earl Trophy as winner of the Daytona 500. Something very few drivers who compete in NASCAR Winston Cup racing ever get to experience. And he's going to realize that dream right now. There's his wife, Tabitha, coming into the winner's circle. Had their second child over the winter, December 10th.
He's just slowly taking his time because he wants to do this right. And
savor the moment.
Savor the moment. Attaboy, Ward. Just savor the moment.
Can't blame him. Probably still regaining his composure a little bit, too. Bill Weber has the pleasure of interviewing the winner of the Daytona 500. Bill?
And I imagine he's doing exactly what you guys were talking about. Taking his time, composing himself, thinking about this moment, winner of the Daytona 500. Putting on the cap. Have to adjust that, of course. It will be you won't need to see him get out. No matter where you're watching, you'll be able to hear him get out. And here it is, the 2002 Daytona 500 champion, Ward Burton. Keep your eyes on him, guys. Maybe I can get in there.
He's right in the middle, Bill, around all those red shirts.
A lot of people from Dodge, Caterpillar, and his family. Forever now, they will introduce Ward Burton as champion of the Daytona 500. Congratulations.
Wow, I tell you, I didn't do it by myself, though. Team worked awful hard all winter. Dodge's support, Caterpillar support. How about that Elliott Sadler? I pushed him to a third place finish in the Firecracker 400, or the Pepsi 400, and Elliott worked just flawlessly there at the end. And one Virginian to another.
Ward, tell me about the final restart to the checkers.
Nerve-wracking. I didn't ever even look at the flag. I wasn't going to stop. When I saw the other guys back off, that's when I backed off. I can't believe it. You know, a lot of what happens here is atmosphere, luck. We had some luck today. 29 cars spun over there. We almost got it. But proud of my team. Great race team.
You walked it very slowly to the green flag on that restart because you were aware of what had happened previously?
I was aware of Jeff Bodine. He's an old veteran. He knows what he's doing. I just didn't want him to get a big speed on me. I wasn't sure whether we were going to win it or not. But I knew we were going to have one hell of a chance at it.
Ward, you fought so hard to get to this point in your career. There were some times when this team wasn't even going to have sponsorship. Now you have a strong sponsorship, a new manufacturer behind you, and a win in the Daytona 500. Has your dream come true today?
Well, one of them has. This is the first year that Bill Davis Racing hasn't had to make a big change of some kind to catch up to the big boys. So we're ready to rock all year. I don't know what was going to happen today, but it's a great way to start. But I feel really good about the whole year.
Congratulations. You're the Daytona 500 champ. Ward Burton, even I get a hug. Congratulations. They talked about Chevy being fast and Ford was in the spotlight all week, but at the Daytona 500, you could say Dodge was the spoiler. Alan?
Yes, you can, Bill. Dodge getting a spoiler rule change earlier in the week, as well as the Fords. And Ward Burton made maximum use of it. He is the champion of the 2002 Daytona 500 as we look at the final results.
Ryan Newman comes back in 7th spot. Jeffrey Bodine. How about that third place finish? And Jeff Gordon, Sterling Marlin, they crashed together. They finished 8th and 9th together.
Michael Waltrip finishing 5th after last year's win. You see only 14 cars wound up on the lead lap. Dale Jarrett getting credit as the last one of those. Terry Labonte, one of them involved in that last crash with about 5 laps to go.
Mike Wallace, 7 laps down, will finish 21st. Kenny Schrader, great run today.
Dale Earnhardt Jr. So many problems throughout the round up 29th place.
And the attrition was unusually high today. Matt Kenseth, the first car out, finishes 33rd. I guess the attrition was caused by the big crash down in turn 1.
That would cause some of it.
Tony Stewart, one of the pre-race favorites, out at lap number 2. 12 different leaders, 20 lead changes. The last one when Ward Burton took over the top spot. More post-race interviews when we come back. The NBA on NBC coming up after our coverage from Daytona. The Lakers and Trailblazers coming up. First, the afterglow of what was a terrific Great American Race. Dave Burns.
Elliott Sadler, you finished 3rd here last July, and you were shaking coming to the line. What were you doing this time to finish 2nd?
I was a little bit more calm, but I'm going to tell you what, to struggle like we have all week, to come in here and finish 2nd, unbelievable. Man, the Motorcraft Ford Taurus was very, very good. Just want to thank them for them standing behind me. A lot of Ford people in the stands today, the U.S. Air Force. Man, it wore me out, man.
And he takes a cold sip of Coca-Cola, Marty, to cool off.
Well, Dave, for a man who nearly lost his life here 2 years ago, Jeffrey Bodine was a comeback kid today. How much fun did you have playing out there with those kids today? The car was obviously good.
Yeah, I had a great car, and it doesn't matter who you are, how good you are. You can't do what I did without a good car, good team, and James Finch gave me a great car, and I want to thank them, thank the Miccosukee Indian Gaming Tribe for sponsoring us. They're going to do some more racing with them, and what a great day. I mean, it got a little tough there at the end. I mean, we're all trying to make deals and try to figure out how to get by the guy in front of us, but I knocked my nose in a little bit on that last wreck, and it slowed us down, but back, yeah. You know, I think people had written me off, but they shouldn't have done that. I'm back.
52-year-old Jeffrey Bodine finishes 3rd. Matt Yoakum.
Defending 500 winner Michael Waltrip. Boy, how do you describe this one? Wild.
I think I just tell people I spun out with 5 to go at Daytona and ran 5th, and that's all the description it needs. When Kevin wrecked, that was wild, man. I just dove right at him. I knew what to do, and I just hoped he'd be out of the way. When I got there, he was. Our Napa Auto Parts Chevrolet was a part of the story the whole week, Matt, and that's all you can ask for. That's all you can ask for as a team. NASCAR would chop the other dude's spoiler off. We'd work a little harder. Then they'd chop it off some more, and we'd just work harder. Then they chopped it off again. Probably should have said something after that one because it looked like we were overmatched at the end.
You probably should have. Michael Waltrip finishes 5th at Daytona. Alan.
Again, a look at the top 10 as the victory celebration continues. For Ward Burton, Elliott Sadler, and Burton, a Virginia sweep of the top 2 spots. Don't forget, tonight, the 2002 Olympic Winter Games continue at 7 Eastern and Pacific on NBC, and tomorrow at noon Eastern and Pacific on TNT, the encore presentation of the Daytona 500. The NBA on NBC is next. What a great day. What a great race.
Fantastic day. What a thrill it was to be here and watch and talk about the Daytona 500.
BP, let's go fishing for a few months.
It's good. See you in July, fans.